Divine night, divine night, divine night. On this full moon, this blue moon. Welcome to the Friday night lectures. I just took a awesome, phenomenal. I just took a very powerful spiritual bath. That shit really got me in a different space, especially for tonight and what we're going to be getting into tonight. This is a moment of purging. This is a moment of purging. Oh yeah, let me hit my button. This is going to be a moment. This with the full moon, with Halloween, is a process of that veil being removed. Understanding deeper aspects of ourselves, getting into the purging and removing the things that are basically stagnant energy. We have to get comfortable removing this stagnant energy that is in the conduits of the individuals, places, people, things. If it's in your life right now and it's not giving you anything positive in resolve, if it's not giving you that positive sense of resolve, not giving you that positive sense of energy, why is it there into your space? A lot of people like to take 6, 7, and have these conspiracy theories. I got a lot of notes because we got a lot of shit we're going to get into. And we're going to get into the now I can mind these scriptures a little bit. As you come in, drop that Ashay so I know you in here. Got the music going, yeah. I'm vibrating really, really, really high right now off of that, yeah. But we're getting into veils and chemtrails. Ashay. We're getting into veils and chemtrails. Everybody at a point in time is a conspiracy theorist. Everybody at a point in time is a conspiracy theorist. We all come to a point in our lives where we create something to exist to make our identity feel right. We will sit there. Most of us are conspiracy theorists and don't even really think about it. When we start thinking about the things that are outside of us, the biggest thing to understand is this is your training ground. This is where you at. This is your training ground. Everything down here is meant to teach you something. So the more the aspect of detaching from these stagnant aspects in your life or detaching from the things that no longer serve a purpose, the reason that you have to do this detach is because you have to be able to see that veil that is thin, this veil that is thin in this aspect of this point. The full moon's out right now. The energy's mad live right now. Think about when you are conjuring, when you're doing any form of magic. Words are spells. So even when you're inside of a space, you are at the most, for most people that are conspiracy theorists, working on doing their shadow work, haven't been healing, at the most you are a non-voice witch. You're a non-voice shaman, witch, whatever it may be, because you are using your words based on those traumas to stay within that space, keeping that veil present so you can move around. So a lot of people like to be in that space wearing that veil because they like the attention of being the ghost. They like the attention of being the ghost to the work, being a ghost or being the aspect of being the dead. That's like I talked about in the Living Dead yesterday, last Friday. You're coming into a space where this stagnant shit, the stagnant energy that your body is literally, from your body to what you're going to be seeing in your dreams, to everything that you are going to be doing right now is going to be showing you and showing up in the physical form. Those shadows are getting denser, so are the physical aspects of your body going to start becoming denser. You're going to start having chest pains. You're gonna start having chest pains. Your back gonna hurt. Your head gonna hurt. Your ears ring. All of these are the aspects of your body letting you know what to listen to. Need to listen to your body. This is how you're gonna get into the aspect of the intuition with yourself. Listening to your body. Right now, a lot of us, when it comes to conjuring, this is the thought process. When it comes to conjuring, most of us are trying to align our spiritual rising, our knowledge that we gain in the spiritual sense of our higher self, with the physical manifestation, which is the dirty mirror. Remember, when you're conjuring, the key is to align your spiritual and your physical mirrors so that energy does what it's supposed to do. But what if your mirror is dirty? What if there are pictures all over your mirror that are in the aspect of everything that keeps your identity based on the memories? I was asked the other day when I was doing a reading, someone asked me, they were like, my biggest aspect is my family. My family is my biggest thing now, going around my family. I know things and I simply can't go back. And I looked and I was like, she was like, tell me your relationship with your mother. I was like, my relationship with my mother is great. When's the last time that you? Probably, I'll say about 5 or 6 months ago. The last time I talked to my mother. About 4 months ago is the last time I talked to my little sister. She's like 19 now. The last time that I talked to any other family members, I can't even tell you the last time I talked to any family members, because I'm no longer in the space that I feel like I have to force myself to have that conversation. This is where you're going to be getting into with your energy as you're setting those boundaries. You're no longer going to feel like you need to have those conversations or force yourself into these positions because they no longer fit you. This is you cleaning that mirror. This is you disconnecting from them chemtrails. Remember, everything outside is a reflection of you. So motherfuckers want to be like, they sending biological agents into the sky to block out the sun. That only work. That only matters to the ones that have not learned that they are not one or not the sun or the soul is theirs, and they don't know how to charge themselves. So that's the only time it's going to mess with somebody. Even when you get to a certain point of learning how to charge yourself, did you put in that work on that aspect? When you go outside, I'm outside probably all the fucking time. And I haven't seen chemtrails. I haven't seen any chemtrails. I've seen it's been foggy a couple mornings. When I get up get ready for the gym. But other than that, I haven't seen any chemtrails. I haven't seen anything because my mind's no longer attached to it. That's the key. You're stepping out of this space of attachment. A lot of us are afraid of the purging, removing the veils. The shadows are becoming more dense. Mercury retrograde, the retrograde is hitting right now. Moon is in Taurus, blue moon coming in. So you're seeing a lot. What you're seeing right now is technically a blue light special. The people that you are looking for, or the things that you're looking for in your life, they're not going to be worthwhile. The things that you've been waiting for to come on in that space in your life is not going to be there. It's not going to happen. You're still looking for something in that space to stay attached to so you don't have to do the work. Or for some, they don't want to do the work. They want to do the work, but they want to pause on doing the work until they get other things in order. But the key is to get your higher self in order, and that energy matriculates down. I looked at my Instagram today. 3 numbers on my Instagram with 717 is how many posts I posted. 570. Let me look at it again because I'll be forgetting shit. I just be forgetting shit. Go, 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 Power Rangers. I was looking. 717 is my how many posts I posted. 572. That's the number. Both of those numbers are in the aspect of where I'm at. My power number that's always been my power number, which gave me the aspects of like why I had to meet my father, and why I had to go to Puerto Rico for a little while, because 787 is the area code. 787 is my power number. 787 is the number that I use in a lot of my work. That combination of numbers I use a lot. 7 and 7 being that divine number, 8 being that ever growing in the aspect of creation, to that infinite tap into the power of myself. So when I'm thinking about these things and I'm seeing the things faster, and I'm not using them this is where a lot of motherfuckers get that shit confused. You want to use it in the space to keep yourself attached. If I use this to do this, I can stay here a little bit longer. I was out all day today, and I'm done with humans. I see more and more reasons throughout my day, throughout my time, that is like, you know what? I don't need to be here no more. I'm not coming back here. Let me keep doing my work. Every time I step outside and I'm like, yep, it's right on schedule. This is you removing that veil out of your life. This is you understanding the chemical agents, the chemical byproducts and the agents that are only physical representations of the things that are within your life. So when you're thinking about biological agents that are changing your psyche, changing your physical, changing your psychological way of moving forward, keeping you attached to certain things, you have to look into your life. The next time you look in the sky and you see a chemtrail, think about what's in your life that has you trailing behind the work that you need to do. Take that thought process, take that into your mind, and actually take that as your thought. Like, you know what? That something don't fit no more. Tonight, we're going to be getting into the aspects of understanding how the veil, that thinness of the veil, the ghouls and the goblins, the demons, the misunderstood aspects, and get into that interpretation of being able to use every single holiday as a day for you to do your work. There is no more. Remember, to understand, you must understand both sides. We have to come into the aspect of understanding both sides. That's the duality, understanding that polarity, understanding the masculine, feminine, and the circuit, and how to break that circuit so we can reroute that circuit into our work. You'll take this aspect right here. I was doing something else. What else was I doing? Okay, then what was I doing? Motherfuckers want to send shit while I'm doing that. You're going to be hurting a lot of motherfuckers' feelings. I'm just going to say that pure, simple, and plain. You're going to be hurting a lot of motherfuckers' feelings. And the reason that you're going to be hurting a lot of motherfuckers' feelings is because that necessary gap that you need to fucking initiate is coming up regardless if you want it or not. You're going to start seeing shit around you. If you have not seen it already, you're going to start seeing things around you in examples that are within that space where the energy is stagnant. You're going to start seeing things not even want to be in that space anymore. You're going to start seeing individuals, people, places, and things not even want to be in that space anymore. That is going to be your key of understanding, like, yo, if the things that used to be there in that space are no longer in that space, why the hell do I need to be there? Why would I need to be there in that space? If it doesn't serve me a purpose, why do I need to be inside that space? This becomes that space when motherfuckers come extra latent with their extra latency, and they sitting back like, man, I don't want to, man, this ain't no time for that no more. The way this shit is working, that shit ain't happening no more. Most of my people are coming out of their first aspects of their quickening phase. All the isms don't make sense anymore. If you're still in the aspect of calling people racist, racism, you still stuck within those chemical trails, those veils, the veil of racism, the veil of white supremacy, the veil of this. The only way something can be supreme in that definition of being white supremacy, would be based on you believing in the definition that is defined by that word, by using the original definition. So if I take the aspect of white doesn't even mean what they use it as, the definition of what it is, if I start implementing that in my mind, when I hear white supremacy, I'll yell out, "Yay, white supremacy!" Yeah, by definition, you're becoming a white supremacist. By that definition, your generic code is based on your supremacy. You don't have to show anybody anything because it's already naturally within. It's already within you. It's your confidence that got fucked up. This is why that shadow work becomes so important. Because if you sitting here, you're trying to use your shit on the lower level, you might as well go get yourself attached to another fucking deity. Keeping yourself into that space. Because here comes the reality. What in the fuck? Everything around me electrical has been weird all fucking day. Let's do that one. All right, make sure everything good. Everything around you at this point in time, remember, this is your training ground. So everything that's around you in this point in time, this is what you should be looking at these things and truly dissecting them as the scientists, truly dissecting them as the occultists. This is when you're looking into that space, learning how to interface with everything, because this is the way that you break away. This is the detaching process. The only way that you can fully detach from anything is once you understand what its original historical purpose was, what it originally was meant for. Because a lot of times we use a lot of the things that we're in right now and we get stuck, locked in that space because we're trying to use it for something other than what it was for. Motherfuckers are protesting. Motherfuckers protested for damn near a whole fucking month over police brutality, not remembering what the police were really made for, to protect the intellectual property of that space. That's their historical purpose, to protect the intellectual property. Remember, take the body, keep the mind. Keep the intellectual property in check. So every time that you sit here and you yell out Breonna Taylor and all these things, you just giving that energy. You're not allowing that energy to go to where it's going to, because you're telling the universe that you need more of that. You only want to rise based on pain, or actually what is in suffering. There's a difference between pain and suffering. The shadow work is supposed to be painful. It ain't supposed to be painless. But you ain't supposed to be suffering. What you're letting go of is the attachment to your suffering. That stagnant shit in your fucking life, those people that in your life, the job, whatever it may be that's in your life that you have become stagnant and stuck on, you don't want to walk past, you don't want to not deal with. I'm gonna deal with it tomorrow. 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 There's no such thing as tomorrow. There's only one day that matters. There's only one day, and that's today. There's only one moment, and there's only one day, and that's today. Everything is a reflection of this day. If you're not doing it today, then you're dying. You're gonna stay in that dead space. If you're not working on yourself every single day, even if it's in the most smallest, minute way, you deserve everything that's coming to you. You deserve everything that's coming to you. There is no being nice. There is no being nice about it. To that aspect of being nicer, I understand everybody's going through their shit. Everybody's going through something. So that can't be your excuse anymore. Stop making that your excuse. Stop hiding under the veil of shame. And then you want other people to attach to you, or you want true love and you want all these things. Then you become attached to something. Remember, that's the career mode. Most motherfuckers are in career mode. That 12 by 12 shit, most people are in that career mode mindset. That means my worth times the amount of time that I put in based on my worth of what I've salvaged based on suffering is what I'm going to get. I should get something based on what I suffered through. No, you shouldn't. Because if you're stuck in the aspect of if you get something based on suffering, guess what the new effect is? If my cause is based on suffering and I get something based on suffering, that's my effect. Then everything that I must get come through an aspect of suffering. So that means I'm going to work even harder I'm going to work even harder to stay in the mindset of suffering to get anything that I need. I'm gonna keep these are the things that bog down the mind. These are the things, these are the chemtrails that keep your soul from radiating and doing what it's supposed to do. This is what keeps your setting your intentions, and then you're wondering why you're not getting what you're wanting to get because you're settled, because you're stuck on a point. It's like a motherfucker. Because you stuck on a point that no longer serves a purpose. You stuck on a point trying to pull everything down to that point. You not coming. Stop pulling that shit down. You got to come to it because you pulling it into the land of stagnant energy. So how can it stay charged? It's like if I sat here and I meditated. It's like if I sat here and meditated and clear my mind and then go into a space knowing full well it's going to have my mind overthinking, have me anxiety, have me agitated, have me in a whole fucking state of being that I don't need to fucking be in. You put yourself in the suffering position because you're attached to the aspect of they're racist. You can't be fucking racist. It exists because everybody says it. It gives everybody a definition because everybody says it. But in the rule aspect of it, it's based on you accepting it. So if I accept something and everything is a reflection of me, the longer that I accept it, the longer that it exists. So if I sit in that position, this is you being in that unhealed mindset. You sitting back and forth and you wondering why shit keep going the way that it keep going. What the fuck are you doing? Look at your life right now. Look at what you're doing in your life right now. How are you implementing shadow work into every aspect of your day? Man, it's hard sometimes. It's because you haven't learned how to, because the only reason that it becomes hard is because you have not implemented that tool into your subconscious. I do shadow work every single day. I'm breaking shit down every single day. I've been breaking shit down for so fucking long that the downloads have become more intense, and now my abilities are coming online. And I've sensed my abilities coming online. My level of knowing is on a whole nother level right now. I just say shit and then it's just there. I know when something's about to happen. I'm just saying it. It's not for anybody, and this is the real part about it. It is not for anybody to know. It's not for me to convince anybody of my shit. I put it that way. This shit ain't built for me to be convincing anybody of my shit. Convincing anybody of what I know, convincing anybody of what I've seen, what I'm tapped into. This is not the space. This ain't the space for that. You're not convincing anybody of your shit. That's your shit. Because if you're stuck on one side, how can you understand the other side? That's you giving that's the chemical agents that you drop down into your fucking life. That's the veil that you keep over that space. Most people will go to a certain point. Ashe, ashe, peace, peace, peace. The mindset that you're going into on that quantum level is, remember, you can take this shit to only to a certain level. So when we thinking about those mirrors refracting, that spiritual aspect of yourself, the higher aspect of the spiritual aspect of yourself mirroring to the aspect of your physical, it matches your physical world. So this is what it means when you're going to get information on your level, where you're at, on your humility, on the things that are on your heart. It's going to come through this aspect of this nexus point through your heart. A lot of people are getting information. They're getting killer freaking information and it's laying on their heart, but they have not done the work. They have not done the root work. They haven't not done the work in their sacral. They haven't done the work in their solar. So they can't empower and open up this portal or this gateway to the information. It doesn't matter how many times they hear the information, it doesn't sit, it doesn't set, because there's something on their heart that they must release from. There's something that they got to let go of, or else they're going to continuously go through that same fucking cycle. I've been through all of my cycles. All of my cycles, I got to a certain point and left, came back. All of my cycles got to a certain point, left, came back. All of my cycles. I removed a certain amount of veils. I was like, all right, cool, that's all I need to do. Boom, I was gone. Came back. I know all of those aspects. I've done those. I do those readings. I've done those aspects and cycle my energy through that space over and over again. Now I'm in a space where it's like all I'm doing is fucking building. All I'm doing is building and teaching. That's it. Building and teaching. Those are the two nexus points in my duality of what I do. Every time that I teach, I learn. So therefore, that's that current. That's that current on that side. Teaching and learning is on this current, and then building and destroying is on this side. There is no more of this aspect of I'm not building anything down here. I'll put it that way. I'm not building anything down here. Everything that comes down here, that's built down here, that comes naturally into this aspect, that will matriculate into the microcosm that comes down here, that's because I've built something up here already. Everything I'm doing down here is called breaking down. This is all you're doing down here is you're breaking down every aspect of humanity. A lot of people like to get stuck in the aspects of their humanity, and they're like, but what about my mother? And what about my sister? And what about my brother? Or what about my aunt? Or what about this person? Or what about that person? What the fuck have they done for you lately? Ask yourself the true fucking question. What have they done for you lately? In reality, you're starting to notice that around certain individuals, that energy, the energy that was always negative, that veil has been removed, and you're seeing more of that negative energy in that space. You're seeing that space. They're not matching your contact list. I always use this example when I'm talking about your contact list. Look at your contact list. If I pull up my phone right now, everybody in my phone, I can either send a message to on Messenger, I can either send a text message to, I can give a phone call to, and every conversation that we will have is going to be an excellent build. And it is not going to be based on that face level woke shit, because the face level of being woke, that's only about a 10-minute conversation. Tell me some shit about some aliens that you saw the other night. Tell me some shit. Tell me some shit. Tell me what you saw in your dream. Tell me what you did in your dream the other night. Last night when I was in the astral realm, this is the reason I'm wearing my joint. I got the codes to I did my bath earlier. Everything from my baths to the altars to every ritual that I'm gonna be doing over this weekend, all that shit came through for me. I'm looking for somebody to create me a Moldavite onyx crown, because that's what I was wearing. That's what I was wearing in the fucking that's what I was wearing in my astral realm, in my crowning space. I got the download from my power number to speak that spell, and now I'm in that space speaking that spell. Nothing is going to stop me. That had always been my greatest strength. but it was hidden behind the aspect of my arrogance, me not being healed. I've always had the mindset that nothing can stop me. I've always had the juggernaut mindset. Nothing is going to stop me from doing what I need to do. Nothing's going to stop me in this aspect of stopping me from doing what I need to do. Nothing, period. That's the mindset that you're going forward in. But it's not going to be based upon the humanity. Nothing's going to stop me from making this money because money's the byproduct. Most people get stuck within a space where they're used to getting something because they're used to not having something, and they're still connected to that original struggle trail. So they get to a certain level. It's based upon hope. They get to a certain level in their thought process. They get to a certain level. They're making a certain amount of money. They got certain things in their life. But their mindset is still stuck within that struggle program. So everything that's based within struggle, or everything that's created based upon that struggle in that frequency, that's what they're connected to. So they'll make the same mistakes, or they'll make the same decisions over and over and over again, because even though they got the information sitting right there in the heart, in the motherboard, ready for them to use, they have not humbled themselves enough to use it. They're going to come up with reasons that sound like they are self-sacrificing, but it leaves them in a constant state of self-loathing. I have no reason to be self-loathing. I know what I went through, understand what I went through in those aspects, and now it's time for me to move the fuck on. It took me just to be able to be at this point of my energy where my energy's at, just to be able to move like this. This was an aspect of over I'll say an 8-year period of time. 8 years of the acceptance, of accepting. Prior to that, I wasn't. That key part for a lot of us is the key part is we weren't accepting what it was to move forward. We were expecting from what it was to give us something based on that program of I'm self-loathing. I need everybody because my mother stole from me when I was 12. Because my mother stole from me when I was 12, everybody got to pay for that. Now I got trust issues. I don't have trust issues anymore. But now this is the thought process. Now I have trust issues in trying to prove that I can be all they got to. Then I'm setting up this arbitrary state of rules to maintain the external state because I'm not dealing with that emotional trauma. I'm not dealing with what got me wound up in the first place. I'm not dealing with it. This is what happens for a lot of people. You get stuck in a space, you become stagnant inside of a space, and then guess what your body starts to do? Your body will start to break down. Your body will start to deteriorate. That's the process. When you see motherfuckers out here, they're in their fucking early 30s, and they look like they're 40 and 50. And then the only excuse that they're going to give you is always, man, life was rough and hard for me. Life was rough. Life was rough. Life was rough. That's why I look like this. Man, you gotta earn some stripes to have wrinkles on your face like this. You can continue your lifestyle of being 31 and you look 51. I'd rather sit here and be only 35 and look like 27. I like that. Every time that I'm getting up, I'm noticing my body is renewing itself faster because I'm in that space. I'm in that quantum field. I'm seeing myself in a certain way. I'm creating myself in a certain way. So I live in that certain way. That takes discipline. That takes a hell of a lot of fucking discipline. And what you're noticing is a lot of people that are in those stagnant positions, they lack discipline when that shit is when that shit is challenged. When you lack discipline, when your stagnant thought process is challenged, that's where the procrastination comes from. That's where that trail of procrastination comes from. That's where that trail of I'll do it this time, because your identity still needs to live on those old thought forms. You thought you had a discipline. You thought you had a discipline, and you thought you had a discipline, but what you really had was a routine. The routine that kept that shit going. That light been burnt the fuck out. There's motherfuckers right now, there's like people that want to be rappers. Ain't nothing wrong with you wanting to be a rapper, but you know the results of being a rapper. The space that you're wanting to be in and what you're seeing yourself as, you don't have the information or the knowledge to be within that space. There's like people that you want to be in career mode so long and so bad. That's what most people that are within that trauma, I call that shit career mode. Because they got a job with no background check, aka not dealing with their fucking shadows. So they got a job based on no background check, and they're getting money or they're getting currency, they're getting their energy on in that space based on no background check. So that has become real to them. So when someone like myself, someone like us walks into the room, and we're just, our energy naturally shifts everything into that room. We have that sit at the head of the table, even when we sitting at the side. That's when they're going to start literally hating on you. Because they, remember, hate is only a lack of understanding. Fearing you is only a lack of understanding. They have a fear of understanding themselves. That's why they will project so much hate onto you. That's why they will project so many things onto you in that space, because they don't understand how to use it. Why he ain't never mad? I had people for a long time. I was looking at I went back and I did a timeline of my life in the meditation, actually Monday. I did a timeline of my life on Monday before I did the podcast. And I was looking at myself outside of I was looking at myself inside of this. I was being the observer and the self-observed. I'm looking in the positions of where I was at, and I'm watching my body language. I'm reading myself first when I first go into the space. I'm watching my body language. I'm looking at how I was talking, what I was saying. And for most of the time, like, I'd just be standing there, not saying anything, not doing anything. I'd be waiting for a cue. I'd be waiting for somebody to look at me so I can laugh or make up a laugh at something or agree with something, nod my head, but I really never was fucking there. That's where you see most of these motherfuckers right now. That is literally the living dead. I saw myself as being dead. I'm in a position, I'm just standing there, not saying anything, not doing anything. But then I would walk away and go find something, and something in me would always spark up for me to go find something to do for my damn self. So I was always in the aspect of detachment. My fucking sun sign is Aquarius. My rising is Scorpio. My moon is Leo. So my subconscious is always in a nurturing state. It was always naturally nurturing something. At that point in time, I was nurturing this identity. And then at the other time, I didn't even know what the fuck my rising was back in that time. But I always wondered why I never got along with Scorpios at a point in time in that space. And it was because they were the lower aspect of the traits of the Scorpio based on the transcending aspect that I had to transcend from. So I had to understand that part. They're always being attached. My rising sign naturally being centrally always attached. No, being naturally centrally in the connection of my higher self. That's what I had to understand. What I was seeing down here in the lower levels, when I see people, they're attached. They're sensually attached to things. So they become that item. They become that space. They become that, like Bobby Hemmett broke that shit down the best when he said, your job becomes your job becomes your culture. Your job is your career, is your culture. So that's why you thrive to be at your job, even though you can hate your job because you have a lack of understanding for the position that you're in and what it's supposed to be used for, but you'll like the drama that happens at your job. You'll always be involved in any of the aspects of the drama. And even if you're giving out even if you're giving out bomb ass information and thought processes like, yo, you should do this, or maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do that. Yeah, that's good. But all you're doing is keeping that space. All you're doing is giving yourself a reason to attach to that space. Because at no point in time are you listening to yourself when you're saying the things that you're saying out loud. Because I can guarantee you, half of the shit that I said to myself in that point in time when I was back in the day, when I was giving out information, I was telling everybody all this deep, insightful shit. If I listened to it, I wouldn't even be in that position to even say it. So that's what you're understanding. You're becoming the observed and the observer. Observe what you speak outside of the emotion. Observe what you speak outside of the emotional aspect. A lot of us have that problem in dealing with things outside of that emotional aspect or that emotional mindset, because it's like, nah, man, because that's that, man, but that's my mom. I can't say that to my moms, or I can't do that to my moms. I don't give a fuck what it is. Toxic is toxic. You can say blood is thicker than water, but if something in the blood is toxic, that means it's gonna kill you anyway. So when you get swole up, when you get emotional, when that shit happens to you inside of your body lock up, you get emotional, whatever it is, it's protecting your soul. You're protecting your soul when you get mad and upset, because it's telling you to slow the fuck down. So when you start feeling the aspects of depression and anxiety, or that sense of, you already start feeling tired before you start dealing with your family members, friends, whatever the fuck it may be, you really need to start checking in on that shit. This is that purge period. This is a purging period. What you seeing right now, trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to fucking eat. Trick or treat, trick or treat. Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat. You stuck within that space. So then you have to think about it. We're going to get into the aspect of family, kids too. We're going to get into kids too. We're going to get into the aspect of kids too. When you're inside of this space and you're inside of that moving forward, the things that you're doing are naturally going to matriculate down to everything that connects to you in the aspect of what's going forward with. So when I think about the aspects of my nieces and nephews, which I haven't spoken to my sisters in probably a good year. But my mindset going forward in thought has always been to be the example that is always ready, and it's always, your mindset should always be being the example that is always ready, not the example that's always getting ready. Setting yourself, you set your goals or you're going to become somebody else's goal. For a lot of us, when it comes to us not doing our shadow work, and we can't set goals because we haven't looked at our background check on ourselves, we come into spaces and deal with individuals and we become their goal. You become their goal. Think about the relationships that you've dealt with. How many of your relationships, most relationships now in this space that I've come to notice, I've counseled, I do relationship counseling as well. I've done relationship counseling. Most of the relationships are based on a benefit system because they're stuck within that 12 by 12 mindset that I've been breaking down all week. That 12 by 12 mentality. I'm going to bring my worth. You're going to bring your worth. So your worth plus my worth times this amount of time should a lot to this. This becomes the thought process as we're moving forward that we have to break that cycle. Most people think of the aspect when I think about sex, I don't even like the urge don't even exist anymore. So if somebody, this is when everybody sees me, motherfuckers put the meme up all the time. Don't acknowledge, don't use it. But to the aspect that when even it comes to the things such as sex, that tantric, that sacred energy exchange, all I'm doing is sex magic. Period. I'm not just having sex just to have sex. It will be sex magic. But when you're thinking about that mirror, think about what you're creating based on that level where you're at. This is where a lot of people, you may have wanted to have dreams. You didn't have goals set for yourself that were in true aspects of your core. So then you got into a position, and then that's when you have people similar to think about it back in the old days. Man, I was going to be a dancer before I had you. I was going to be write books before I had you. Your daddy had a whole career before he met me and we had you. External state of being. Trying to stay in the external state. Trying to stay within a career. Trying to create a culture outside of, try to create a culture that's outside of yourself naturally. By nature, you are a savage. By nature, I am a savage. By nature, I'm a sophisticated savage. Because I do not fit within the paradigm of this space. So everything that I do will be savage. This is when you start studying the aspects of the deities, and most deities have a trickster aspect. All of the deities that I have embodied in my cycles, they all have a trickster aspect, from Lucifer, Baron Samedi, Papa Legba, just to name a few. Obatala, all of these energies that I fuck with, that are me, that I've interfaced with, that are me, aspects of myself, they all have a trickster story. So 9 times out of 10, my childlike mindset always goes to that trickster mentality. You remember when you were little and you used to snicker at throwing firecrackers and putting firecrackers in squirrels and shit? Well, my cousins put firecrackers in squirrels and birds and shit, and smoke bombs in birds' mouths and shit. That shit used to be fucking fun. These are all aspects of your childlike mentality. That's all aspects of your trickster mentality. You were taught that. It was taught down. It was brought down like, nah, you can't do that. That's not right. So now you're in a space where you're seeing the most horrible of shit in humanity. The most horrible shit that I'm seeing is making me laugh. Because I have an understanding of the purpose of what the fuck's supposed to be going on. If anything, I'm like, ooh, shit, I need some of that energy in my life. They're releasing energy for me. They're releasing something for me to feed from. Let me tap into this. Motherfuckers are mad right now at a fucking... Motherfuckers are talking about voting, not even understanding that the polarities are shifted. Not even understanding there's been a polarity shift. Then there's a polarity shift right now. You going into the dead space. You going into that quantum. You still thinking about shit down here on this 3D level, the 3D model that only exists based on your thoughts about it. So when we take that thought process into the healing process, when it comes to children, we're going to get into the aspect of children. If you have a kid, if you have children, look at your child. What age is your child right now? Think about where you were at that age. Think about where you were at that age. If it's hard for you to deal with your child at a certain point in their age, whatever age they may have, like let's say they're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever age, and they're in a certain mindset, think about where you were at that age. The reason that it's hard for you to interface with the child and deal with that child on that level is because that may be a point behind the points of the trauma that you had to deal with. How was that child created? This is generational curses. This is your lineage that you're dealing with. You staying stagnant in that trauma, you naturally automatically saying, fuck them kids. You naturally automatically saying, fuck them kids any damn way. Because what are you doing in your lineage, in your aspects of where you're learning, where you're at, in order to advance the level of energy? You can become stagnant in a space for so long and got used to what you were getting from there. But when that veil starts, when that couch that got that blanket sitting on top of it, that blanket start getting removed off top of that couch, you see all the stains that were on that couch and why that couch need to be thrown out a long time anyway. Stop sitting in the suffering. Most of us like sitting in a space of suffering. So it matches, not really realizing that's what you're matching. So if you look at, motherfucker, look at my space, I keep my space in a state of organized. Even if I got 5, 6 different notebooks open, which I got like 12 notebooks open from like 6 different natal charts and sessions and podcasts and readings and all types of shit, but everything's still within an organized space. I know exactly where to go get everything that I need to go get. This is an example of my alignment. I don't have to, oh man, maybe I got to go here to go get this. I know exactly where to go what I need to go get. That's that go get it mentality that I've taken to the next level. That's your hustling mentality that you take to the next level. That's your nurturing mentality that you're taking to the next level. You're not using your mentalities of your old states of being in this old space. It don't exist. The shit is done. The only thing that you got to deal with is working on yourself. Working on yourself is going to bring cultivating your gifts, your purpose, your talents, what you are, what you truly are, is naturally going to bring everything into succession. As you rise up in the levels, as you rise up in these levels of yourself, going into this quantum mindset, into that 5D level of pull down that energy, as you're going into that space, everything that you need is going to be there. From the relationship that you're going to get into and it's going to be horrible, to the relationship that you're going to get into and it's going to be great. It's all going to be there in that space because it's a needed aspect for you to learn from. You don't own anything down here. You are the essence of all. So ownership is secondary. You don't own anything down here. This is when you get into these relationships, you feel a sense. The reason that you feel a sense of guilt is because you feel a sense of ownership or a lack of accountability in something that you needed to do. That's why you feel guilty for most of the time when you feel guilty with something, because there's something in that space that you have not accepted yet of yourself. That's why you still need it in your life. So that's when you start doing the work and people start saying, nigga, you start acting funny. You ain't coming to the house no more. You ain't chilling out with us no more. You ain't drinking with us no more. You ain't smoking with us no more. You ain't doing the shit that you used to. Nigga, that ain't me no fucking more. Why the fuck do I need to go back there? To listen to the same stories? To gather something from the memories? This is going to be your dark moment. You're becoming the fucking villain. This is the aspect when motherfuckers want y'all dark side and stay in the darkness. They have an insecurity in seeing true light. And motherfuckers that are stuck within the light, they have an aspect of not being able to see and they haven't dealt with their own darkness. To be a healer, you must have dual positions. So when I sit here and when I say Depression is the mindset of your lower self and your higher self. Rather, your higher self telling your lower self, I'm done playing this game. That's from experience. I went through the years of depression. How Jay say it? I went through it so you didn't have to go through that. That's where I'm at. Not saying that you will not experience the things, or you don't have to. Not saying that you will not have to experience the aspects of what's going on in your life, and you should not experience it. But it's going to come to a better term to if you're learning from everything, you don't have to go through that necessary point of experience. That's the aspect of me giving them information through a lecture. Or when I'm doing it, whenever you're listening to a lecture, you're gathering that information. There's information that's coded within what I'm saying to you and how I'm speaking it that's resonating to other things that are equivalent to your life. So my life ain't got to be like yours. You're not looking for this unity on the physical form. This is where we get stuck in based on ownership, because we were taught on subjective ownership. You were raised in ownership. You were raised on a state of ownership. Whether you admit it to yourself, you do shit based on ownership. When you're stuck in that 12 by 12 mentality, you'll go to your house. That's why you have people right now, based on, they'll always say this shit. Man, you need to, my mama cook, my grandmother cook for her husband every year because he paid all the bills. What do? That's ownership mentality. The things that I naturally do for myself, I don't need someone to cook for me, clean for me, clean for me, be wait on me hand and foot, beck and call shit. I don't need none of that because I know how to do that shit myself. So why do I need another individual to submit to those mundane aspects based on attachment? That's what becomes the attachment aspect. When you're expecting somebody to cook for you and clean for you and do laundry and do all these things for you, when you're expecting somebody to do something for you, you base everything based on that attachment. So your worth is now based on that attachment. So the veils that you don't have to deal with, or the shadows that you ain't got to deal with, to the reason why you think that's what you need, you're not going to deal with. You're not going to bring to the surface. He treats me really, really nice. And he takes me out. He takes me out every night. And he treats me really nice. And he buys me nice things and all of these aspects. It was in Lovecraft Country, the last episode, when he was like, the reason that they love you is because they don't know you. He goes to the same aspect. The reason that they love you, the reason that they have the aspect of love, which is that the reason that they're lusting for you is because they don't truly know you. The reason that they do only lust for you and you're confusing it as love because you don't understand the love that's within inside of yourself. Because if you truly understand the love inside of yourself, you wouldn't accept having the shit that you accept in your life right now. You would not be going through the processes that you're going through right now if you really had love for yourself. You would have way more love is the aspect of the truest essence of chaos, and chaos having the chaos of the discipline. Of having the truest aspect of your discipline to yourself. That's what love is, discipline to yourself. Your disciplines. If I don't feel like doing something, I will not do something. Because I have a definition that I've created for myself that is sustained, that I can bring the information to it. That is your aspect of where you're at when you're in your mindset, where you're going now. That stagnant shit, I stayed with this person for 10 plus years because why? Because they were there for me when nobody else was. What about you being there for yourself? Do you see how many things that can be hidden in that aspect? This is how a lot of motherfuckers are getting hurt right now. is because you're in a position where you've given somebody this amount of energy on you. You're giving this person a certain amount of energy or access to your energy. And now you're in that space and now you can't remove yourself because you have been creating within that space things to sustain that level of energy. Remember, empty mind, full house. There's motherfuckers right now that got full fucking houses. Big screen fucking TVs and fucking big screen TVs and nice shit, cars and whatever it may be. But the internal mechanisms to maintain them things are out of fucking whack. They got cars, but they ain't got no license and insurance. They got TVs, but they ain't got no they can't keep their cable on. Those are the internal workings and physical manifestation. That's the true aspect of the energy, your energy that's in motion. So you want to keep this external aspect charged that's a burnt out light. Before anything, think about it like this. If I look at the TV screen, everything that hit that screen, even if it's live TV, I don't even watch live TV anymore. Even if it's live television, by the time it hits your screen, it's already a dead light. It's already dead. By the time it already hits your screen, it's already a dead program. The only thing that gives that aspect of reflective light is your attention. I was in the car today listening to the fucking radio because I didn't feel like plugging my phone. Listening to the radio, and I heard 120 voting campaigns on the radio. The only reason I remembered the number, actually, it was 122. I heard it 122 times. The only reason I remember the number 122 is because it was a number and it had a meaning. That's what I pulled from it, because my mind has become so. I've groomed my mind, and I continuously grooming my mind, keeping my shit so groomed that even I can get that information from anywhere. I'm not looking at it as, see, they talking about vote, and that's because that's why your ancestors did not do that for your right to fucking vote. Because it would because that thought process would contradict everything from every Black Wall Street that there was. So they did it for your right to vote for equality. So you're fighting for the definition of Black for equality. I ain't been Blacks for 3 years now. Nigga, I'm green. I'm Osiris. I'm purple. I'm fucking Baron Somni. I'm a whole different spectrum of light. So why the fuck would I shrink myself into being something to fit within a certain space? This is what people do when you keep that veil on your fucking eyes. You shrink yourself to fit into a certain space. What you're doing now is, this is your testing point. If you want certain things in your life, bring them to your level. Bring them to where you at. Bring them to a lecture. Study all, follow none, remember. Study all and follow none, remember the information it's supposed to do. Do what it's supposed to do. That's why you keep going in these certain positions trying to prove yourself, because you're trying to keep yourself attached to that space. No. Let it do what it's supposed to do. If you start talking about fucking aliens and fucking quantum light theories and chaos math around a bunch of your dead ass fucking friends, and they look at you like you lost your mind, and then they stop inviting you to the party, congratulations. You just created a boundary. Use that boundary and keep moving forward with it. That's the boundary that you created. If you're talking about starting a business, your LLC, getting yourself in order in that nature, and they start looking at you like they start looking at you like you lost your mind. Congratulations, you created a boundary. Stand on your boundary. Because they no longer can charge from your energy. That's why they look at you that way. When we think about our identity, your rising sign. When you think about your identity has cracks in it. From day one, when you came down here with your handicap, which was your ego that came down here with you into this space, it had cracks in it. It had cracks in it already. Those cracks, and I've talked about this before, those cracks that are in your identity, that's where your energy leaks off through your auric field of aspect where you're at. Those black spots on your auric field, those black spots that are in reflection of the black spots or the shadows that you have not dealt with in your life. So if you're not dealing with certain things or certain aspects within your life, then it becomes an external shadow. It's casting that light that you need to be dealing with, is casting that external shadow in the form of that conduit of that individual, that person. So you got someone in your life that never seems to be able to get their life right, never seems to have any money, never seems to be able to take responsibility for themselves, never starts to do any of these aspects of the things in their life. Look at yourself. Honesty is the key to transparency. Honesty is the key to your transparency. Hey, honesty is the key to your transparency. So when you see an individual that's in your life and you are putting so much energy into that space, trying to keep that person, trying to make that person grow or do whatever the fuck you want them to do, and they don't seem to do it, the next time you do it, go home, sit down, look in the mirror, everything you told that person, tell yourself that shit. Tell that shit to yourself in the mirror. Grab a candle. Papa giving out rituals that you can be doing. You can do this shit tonight. Thank you. You could put that shit out there tonight. Grab a candle. Sit in front of your mirror. Turn the lights off. Everything that you keep telling all these other people, all that good information. Yeah. Put that light right there. Speaking into that candle. Speaking into the candle. While the veil is getting really, really thin. Speaking into the candle. Speak it. Speak all the things that you keep telling every individual in your life that ain't taking the information in. Speak it into the candle. You're trying to tell them how to get their life together with their baby father, the love of their life, these problems. Tell all that shit to the fucking candle. And then look into the candle as you're saying it. Build into the candle and look into the mirror. Tell me what you will see. You're going to see every crack. You're going to see the cracks within your identity right there in front of you. You're going to see, this is where you're going to see those energy leaks. You keep leaking your energy out, then you're wondering why you can't seem to get ahead. You keep telling individuals about the things that you want to do next in your life, and you're wondering why you can't get that shit done because you're telling the wrong individuals. You're telling the individuals that are a part of the relation or the associate to the trauma or the things that you have not dealt with, and you're giving them that energy. So that positive energy that you're giving them, it's feeding the negative. So it's keeping you attached to it. That's why when you have a conversation and you have a mental breakdown, the first thing you're going to go to is what? A conduit of the trauma. And then you'll sit there and then you'll be, when you reboot, your identity's back online. You go get your hair cut. You go get a haircut. Some of y'all do the big chop. Some ladies do the big chop. Niggas want to go grow their hair out and get locks or go get a fade or whatever, start growing a fucking beard. All you doing is maintaining the fucking identity. You're giving the identity new aspects to stay connected to. Because now you have to maintain this look. I don't have to maintain my fucking beard. All I do is wake up, comb it, and I'm done. Because this isn't an aspect that I'm attached to. So everything that I need to do to it naturally is going to happen. Everything that I need to do in natural aspects of what I need to do is naturally going to happen. I don't have to force it. If I don't feel like combing my beard one day and I know I'm going out and about, where the hell is my mask? If I know that I'm about to go out and about and I don't feel like combing my beard that day, I got my big scarf. I put this on, you can't see my fucking beard. Who the fuck cares? I don't care what somebody's going to say about what the fuck I'm doing. Because the longer that I give my attention to that, I have to keep creating the thought processes based on that. This is where the aspect of a trend come from. Now you got motherfuckers on fucking, you got niggas out here got fucking hair fucking, this is how fucked up humanity is, and why the fuck would you want to stay here? I laugh at this shit all day. You got niggas out here right now that is bald as fuck, but then they got units and they go cop a unit for like $2,000-$3,000, and now they look like they back to 18-19. But now that's something that they have to maintain. There's nothing that I have to do within the space of what I do right now that I have to maintain. The only things that I got to do in the aspects of maintaining, I can't be, no. Lucifer can't be nice. This is nice. This is me being nice. Taking that aspect of where I'm at when I do the things that I do, if I take myself into the space of the ugly phases, they soul know better. They soul know better. So when you take that aspect into yourself, into your mindset, when you're going forward, when you're doing the things that you need to do, as you're moving forward, as you're building those boundaries, as you're building those healthy boundaries for yourself to move forward and make yourself better, you're going to naturally have a position to where things that need you based on a certain charge, things that have not learned how to charge themselves, they need you into their space. This is where you start seeing that going from independence, people want to strive for independence and not understanding what self-sufficiency is. Being self-sufficient is the ability to feed from multiple streams. You can be independent and be the greatest rapper. You can be independent and be the greatest rapper or whatever it may be, and you'll still be independent. But you have to maintain a level of somebody being dependent on what you need, what you're bringing out. Therefore, you must always stay within the trend of what somebody's bringing out. When you're in the space of self-sufficient is based upon you in balance with your disciplines. So if I say to myself, what do we need to work on the next couple of days? How will you implement that intent into your moving forward? Okay, cool. It's time for me to go to the gym. What am I going to be doing at the gym? The first thing I do to the gym is the binaural beat that I got playing in the background. That's the first thing I'm listening to. That binaural beat, because everything moves into that key algorithm that's in my subconscious. I ain't got to worry about it. So from 4 o'clock, when I wake up and have that nice conversation with myself while I'm laying there, halfway here, halfway in, halfway out, looking like a fucking cat, looking like Bassett, sitting there halfway in, halfway out, and I'm doing my self-check of myself, everything that I did within the astral aspects of myself, I'm now pulling down and remembering and implementing those codes into my day. So now all of these codes are now laying down on the board. So now 5:30 hit. I'm up. I'm getting ready for the gym. This Monday through Thursday or Monday through Thursday. I hit the gym. The first thing that I do is I give myself a test when I hit the treadmill. Funniest thing happened to me when I was on the treadmill Thursday for leg day. Thursday was my leg day. I was on the treadmill, and I just started walking, and I was like, I need my heart rate to go to 147. So I'm sitting there and I'm walking on the treadmill. Got the treadmill on like the speed of 3.5. I got the incline at like 1.2. If anybody understands the gym logic when it comes to the treadmill. And I'm sitting there thinking, I got my Kundalini binaural beat playing in my ears. And I'm just centering my heat and I'm tightening my core. And I'm like breathing in and breathing out. And I'm raising my heat level. And all I'm doing is walking on the treadmill. My heart rate started at like 119. Heart rate is at like 119. I'm on the treadmill for like 2 minutes and 20 seconds. 2 minutes to 22 seconds. And I open my eyes. I look at it. My shit's at 147. It's funny because I looked over and there was this lady there was like this lady on the other treadmill right beside me. And she looked at my numbers and I could tell that she was looking at my numbers jump the entire time. So when I opened up and I looked over my peripheral see her, I'm like, oh, okay. Ha ha ha, that's funny. She thought my treadmill was like, I was doing my run, then I got into my run, got into my workout, did my run for about 3 minutes, stopped, gave back to my jog, gained back to my money, got my shit all the way back up. And then I'm maintaining my heart rate at 147 just by myself walking, controlling my breathing. This is all a part of my meditation. What intentions do I need to set today? I got to make a commercial for the clothing and the merchandise for the new tapestries. I got to do I got to do 4 natal chart analysis when I get to the house. I got to do this, and this. I got to put this together. I got 2 sessions. This is the conversation I'm having in this session. I'm literally pulling that down into real time, into that space. So by the time I'm done doing my entire workout from 6:15 to about 7:45, hop back on the treadmill at 8. By the time I get home, it's like I'm just walking into my shit because I'm already there. This is you mastering your alignment into everything that you need to be getting into. But you can't do this based on the emotional aspect. You cannot move into a space of alignment if your mind's stuck on, if it doesn't matter what I do, I got to be 10 times smarter. I got to be 10 times smarter. I got to be 10 times. I got to be 30 times, 30 times better just to match up with them. Why the fuck are you trying to match with something that is a reflection of you? Why are you matching something that is only a reflection of your light? There's nothing that I'm going to sit here and try to match energy with that is at this level on basic human shit. Why would you do it? Why would you set yourself up to fail that way? Why would you set yourself up to fail that way? Why would you put yourself in a position to where every time you're doing something, you're doing it for a reason to maintain the external state of being, the status quo? Why would you keep yourself into that mindset? What keeps you into that mindset? What chemtrails, what biological agents are flipping your whole psychosis and keeping you in that altered state of being? Because it sounds cool when motherfuckers be like, yeah, man, I'm a shaman. Nigga, you ain't a shaman. All you do is fucking smoke and fucking pop acid and mushrooms all fucking day. Nigga, what information have you taken to maintain that level of balance? This is my hey. This is my drink. Before I did before I came into this, I was rushing around, getting everything set up for the night. And I was sitting there in my space. I was like, all right, cool. I'm about to take my 3 shots. I ended up having to take 4 shots. It was crazy. Hold on 1 second. Everybody say hi to Santa Muerte. Santa Muerte was calling for us. And I had to go get my fucking cane. I had to go get my cane. But taking yourself into the aspect of your mindset, as you're going into your aspects of your growth, the things that you're breaking away from are those isms. Understanding what an ism is. Race is being the root aspect, and ism being meaning to act. So the race is to act in a certain manner or in a certain set of rhythms based on the programming of that program. This is when you start breaking down and understanding what the program is. So if you're stuck in the aspect of they're racist and their racism, racism is simply race is the root aspect of race to act. Ism is to act. So racism, to act towards their race. So when you start thinking of that aspect, you naturally, being a god, you can't be racist because you are the essence of all. You being the higher form of yourself, you are the aspect of the essence of all. So it no longer exists for you. So if you're attached to that aspect of racism, white supremacy, and they're going to kill us and they're going to give you drugs, how the fuck is that going to affect you? If you are in your higher aspects of yourself and you truly believe the shit that you are regurgitating, this is how you start understanding motherfuckers this is how you start seeing how people actually starting to regurgitate shit, because I don't care if they drop a fucking virus type, nigga, you gotta take this vaccine. I know 750 different fucking herbs that I'm a pop as soon as I leave out the fucking building. I remember when all of my immunity, I remember the day when I was doing my turmeric, black pepper, and ayahuasca detox. Yeah. Whole nother story, might get into that. But I remember I was doing that. I remember feeling the metal leave my body from the immunizations that I got when I was little. I remember feeling that shit leave out of my body. I remember after doing that detox, and I remember needing some water, and I went and got a bottle of Aquafina, and I've not drank Aquafina since. I drank some Aquafina, and you know, like when you drink a cold bottle of water, it's supposed to give you that nice chilly feeling. I felt like somebody was sticking iron into my bloodstream. I felt metal, like I was like, nigga, I don't need to be drinking that. But the only reason I was able to understand that I'm not supposed to be drinking that, is because I removed myself I did the cleansing aspect. The only way you're going to know what the fuck you're supposed to be doing and what your fuck you're supposed to be using is by that aspect of the separation or purging away from it first. Like someone can look at me and be like, yo, man, you drink. Nigga, the way I drink and the way you drink, 2 different things. Yeah. The way that I drink and the way other motherfuckers drink is 2 different things. You drink to get inebriated. You drink to get inebriated. I drink to maintain the level that I'm already at. You do shrooms to get high. I do shrooms to keep myself maintained at the level that I'm already at. So now I can microdose it. Which reminds me, I got to order my shrooms. I can microdose my shit. And then when it comes time for me to do an elaborate ritual or elaborate ritual, like showing somebody how to go deeper into themselves and all of these aspects of themselves, then I can just do it then because it's already naturally a part of me. I've already done the necessary work. This is going to require you to remove those veils to do the necessary work. If you've always gotten something based upon the initial trauma, then how do you know what it is outside of the trauma? If you were hurt, put in a position, childhood trauma, whatever it may be, if that happened to you when you were younger, everything that you are doing in this space becomes non and void because it's negative versus negative. That's why you always feel yourself having setbacks, because you're doing negatives versus negatives. That's why your shit don't connect, because you're still attached to something else. Just like love and fear cannot be in the same space, fear is attachment, love is connection. Fear is attachment, love is connection. Once you understand that, you understand the aspects of you understand the deeper aspects of manipulations, when people can manipulate your emotions based on something that they feel that you do not have. You never had this, and this. So how do you know about this? Okay, you never had this, and this. So how do you know about this? It becomes this apparent back and forth where you're trying to battle your experience level based on suffering. Most individuals will battle their suffering back and forth. That's what you see what rappers do when they doing disses and beefs. They're going back and forth, talking about their suffering and their struggles and who struggled the most. He who struggled the most fucking wins. That's the name of the game that comes down here. It's a fucking game. Baba de Gregory just came through. It's a fucking game. You get stuck within the game. You get stuck within that process of playing that game. My pops told me something when I was mad fucking little, and it took me a long period of time to break it down so I could synthesize it so I could use it in me moving forward. He always told me that when you playing around with the demons, when you stop wanting to play around with the demons, they're always going to want to keep playing. It wasn't until I read Mind Control 101 when it talked about the aspect, that was the first thing I thought. That was the first time I started thinking about the aspect of thought forms. So when I first looked at the word demons, before I broke it down to demon meaning Damien, or magic, intelligence, deity simply the aspect of the combined aspects of the interfacing of deity is the full, a defined thought form. A deity is a defined thought form. So if I break loose from the aspects of, for me to understand, for me to embody or embrace being Papa Lucifer, for me to embrace the aspect of being Papa Lucifer, in order for me to fully embrace or allow that possession to happen, that light, for me to embrace that light, I had to first understand Lord Shiva. I had to understand Buddha. I had to understand Ganesh. I had to understand the aspects of the mathematics behind Baphomet. I had to understand all of those things, all of these aspects, or all of these seasons, because they're all seasons. That's when you think about astrology, it's broken down into seasons. All of these seasons, all of these houses, to embody and make that into one day, to make myself one day, to become this one energy, to become the circumference of all things by being of and not a part, by understanding the individual aspects and parts. So when you look at individuals that do not know how to charge themselves, they will constantly need to look for things outside of them to exist within their space or to keep them attached within that space. So someone looked at, like I said it earlier on, I did a reading. They asked me, like, the biggest thing for me is my family and dealing with my family. They're just not on this level. They're not ready to take in this information. How do you deal with it? I was like, let me tell you a story. I haven't talked to my mother in like 6 months. Now, before, back in the day, if I didn't talk to my mother for like 2-3 weeks, I would feel this emptiness. Yeah. I would feel this emptiness because what my mother represented at that time, I didn't understand the definition of what my mother represented. I didn't understand the definition of what my mother represented for me. My mother nurtured was naturally the feminine aspect or nurturing the energy. That's what her natural position is. Her historical, intellectual purpose is to nurture. Going outside of the realm of emotion. This is the key. Going outside of the realm of emotion will allow you to see everything that they did, they nurtured it for you to learn from outside of the realm of emotion, outside of my mother didn't love me. I know in my mother's definition of how she defines love, she loved me. The natural love for giving me stuff and doing the things that she did for me in that aspect of space without me giving her anything back, until it came to a point in time to where that natural career mindset is, once I retire, this is how you start understanding that job of persecution. Once she retired from being my mother, it was a payday for her. So everything that I was doing was in retrospect for myself, paying her back for everything she did for me, because I was raised within the 12 by 12 mindset. Yeah. Yeah. You're not coming down here to bring, you're not coming down here to bring peace to humanity. That's no, you bring peace to yourself. Everything that you do after that is naturally, you're going to be shifting. This is why also in the Bible, when he says, Satan, get behind me, he became the light. Or in the same book, in the same allegory, when they say, I am the evil and good and all these things, I am the light and the dark, the creator of all things, I created evil. And in Revelations, he'll say, Satan, get behind me. That's the shadow aspect of yourself. You have fully transitioned into your light. You have your understanding of the darkness and you have your understanding of your light. You are now in full balance. This is the aspect of you becoming into your divinity, because the unknown aspect is always going to be your knowledge. This is why they always use the aspect of Satan being the aspects of your desires and the warrantor of the aspects of your emotions, and then Jesus always being the cool, calm, collected motherfucker, but will turn into Satan at any given moment, because you're learning the balance of yourself. You're studying these aspects because they're aspects of you. So when you hear somebody come to you, when you hear motherfuckers, because they still do it, I don't know why they do it, but I know why they do it. I just don't care. But when you hear somebody say, Jesus isn't real, I don't fuck with Jesus, I don't fuck with the white Jesus, they're still stuck somewhere. Because at a point in time, your realization, Christos, same thing when you break down Jesus into Zeus. Jesus, Zeus, Chronos. So you think about the aspect of time. So you got Chronos' time, Zeus mastered time, and then you got Jesus, the master of all those miracles. That's all into that same aspect. You're taking yourself out of the emotional algorithm. This is the real algorithm that you have to take yourself out of, is that emotional aspect. Because you're going to be sitting there in that space and you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm sad because at a point in time, yes, I had that entire moment in my life where I had this longing and wishing for my mother to admit her wrongs. I had this entire aspect of my life where I needed my mother to tell me her wrongs. So everything that I did on that frequency, I built my space off of, you have to tell me the absolute truth to be within this space. But then, even though I'm saying this, the frequency that I'm speaking this on to the then Jesus aspect before it became the universe, because before it became the universe, and then it became before it became Jesus, then it became the higher power, the higher power, then it got to the universe, then it got to my higher self, all aspects of within ourselves. I was always getting ones that were telling me enough truth to stay into the space, because I was telling myself enough truth to stay attached to the space. But then when my mindset, the natural constant aspect of change based on my purpose, when I'm supposed to be grooming myself into, kept getting louder and louder and louder, though I did not know how loud it had become until now, until you come into spaces like now. I'm looking into that space of myself and I'm like, that's why I never fit in when niggas was standing over there not doing nothing, and I always had to go find something to do, because that's a natural aspect of me staying detached. Because me staying stagnant with them keeps my energy at a low frequency. So my ascension, me tapping into the aspects of healing my lineage of myself, me tapping into my Akashic records, none of that shit is even possible without me moving the energy and learning how to move my energy, learning how to tap into these certain aspects and spaces inside of my time, go down my timeline and make my moves as I need to make my moves. This takes you outside of the aspect of emotion. When I speak on the aspects of going outside of emotion, I'm talking about being within emotional balance. Like me, 90% of the time, 98.9% of the time, I'm in emotion. I'm always remaining in a balanced state. So I'm able to see things outside of the clouds or that vapor or them trails that are there. I can see the chemtrail more clearly. I can see the chemical bonding in the process, similar to like when you remember when you was in school and you saw like the atoms, and they showed you atoms and how oxygen and those bonds. I can visualize and see those connections deeper within that space. So it allows me to be able to move around the board better. It allows me to be able to move around that board. Like, that's something I don't need to be doing. I understand why you're doing that. I understand why you're doing that. I understand your purpose of doing that. We can have a conversation about that, what problems there are. But after we're done discussing these problems in this setting, we're going to talk about solutions. My mind automatically searches for solutions. The two extremes of my solutions is to totally detach, which I have no problem. Go on. And then sitting there and trying to create the solution. Either I'm creating a solution or I'm in a state of detachment. I'm always in creating a solution in a state of detachment. I'm always open into this balance. So even when I'm detached, I'm creating a solution. And when I'm creating a solution, I always can remain detached. This allows me to be able to move in that omnipotent, omnipresent, being that omnipresent, omnipotent state. Because I understand that my body of light, my level of light infects or it seeks out and it does what it needs to do at the level where that person is accepting that information. So they're going to react to the light the way that they react to the light. So this brings you into the aspect when you're moving into your purpose and doing what you're supposed to be doing, you ain't really going to be giving a fuck about what motherfuckers, if they hate you, if they like you. Because they hate you for a reason, they like you for a reason. If you get emotional, like, why do they hate me? Why don't they like me? And you get emotional, then you get stuck in the hate aspect. So then you stop forgetting about all this power that's over here in the liking, the motherfuckers that are actually following you and listening and grooming and listening and studying all and moving that can move you forward, the more positive aspects. Then you get stuck within the hate aspect, and then you got to lower your vibration or lower your level of light so they can understand your level of light. That's what they want you to do anyway. You got individuals in your life that want you to lower your level of light at all points in time so they can continue feeding because they're not used to that level of light. They're not used to that God energy. They're not used to that goddess energy. This goes into the aspects when you think about when I was talking about sacred energy exchange. You're going to get to a level where that shit don't even fucking matter. Sex magic could die. I don't care. And when you performing your acts, your rituals, you ain't thinking about lower level shit. I'm not thinking about how to go get a Range Rover whenever I'm setting my intentions to that. Because that's supposed to be there, it's going to be there anyway. So I don't have to think about that. Because if I put my mind in a lower aspect and I focus all of my energy into that aspect, that's what's powering my intention. What powers your intention, what gives power to your intention, what gives lifts to your intention is what has your attention. So if you sit there and you're thinking about things in the physical point, which are actually just the byproducts, they're natural byproducts. So if I'm thinking about the natural byproduct of things in my life, and I want this money, or I don't do this, or I don't do this, exactly, the spirit will leave you. I've watched the spirit leave people. Some of the most trippiest shit that you'll ever fucking see, watching the spirit leave a motherfucker. Like, ho. And you'll see that same energy leave them and come to you. So as you're cultivating and purging, the spirit that was with them will come work with you. That will interface with you, will come to you. There's spaces where I go. There's a mindset when I go into the space. Yeah. There's a space. There's points in times when I wonder why I would be sitting to go into certain spaces. Yes, it's all God. Yes, God is that. God is the aspect of the neuter non, just God. Yeah, but like to make it for other people's level of light. Once you remember, once you understand the spell, you can manipulate from your own game. So understanding other individuals' level of light. Some people have not gotten to the level. My shit got louder. Understanding people's level of light. Understanding people's level of light, where they at, what they do, how they move. Understand people's level of light. You know how to speak. You're learning how to speak to people based on what the level that they're at. You're giving them that. So if I use the aspect like I'll use, hey goddess, hey queen. Someone can come to me and be like, some overly woke nigga can come up to me and be like, yeah, you know, queen me whore. And my response be like, you're right. The sacred whore. Yes, the sacred whore. The scarlet one. Yes, the sacred whore. The sacred woman. So I don't be calling these queens, man. I call them goddesses. because I'm a god and they goddesses. You be like, you're right. And at that point, you just say you're right, because what they're looking for is a reason. They're looking for something to connect to. They need that constant state of fury to keep you connected to. I understand what the fuck the word means. I understand the background to what that word means. So this is the whole aspect of whenever you're thinking and you're in the aspect of looking and you study the aspect of the Gnostic text, the Gnostics were the Gnostic text, Gnostic priest, all in that aspect. Whenever you looked at when I was in my priesthood phase about 6 lifetimes ago, when I was in my priesthood phase, I remember drawing the sigils of skulls or drawing the sigils of like these darker images, because it was telling my humanity it wasn't ready to go to that level. So when I look at an individual that tells me that, yeah, you know, it means horror, I can look at them and say, you're right, because I'm letting them know that until you're ready to go through that door where this sigil is now evil, or you thinking that it means something bad, you still stuck on bad and good, you ain't ready to come through this door. So you ain't ready for this level of information. I'm going to throw it out there to the people that is ready for it. I'm not here for the motherfuckers that ain't ready. Your soul is ready. Your soul is ready to engage for this information. That stuff that's on your heart, the information is on your heart, is waiting for you to open up that portal. That's why you'll keep going back to certain information over and over and over again. You'll read it over and over. I don't get it yet. Why don't I get it? Because you haven't released what's on your heart yet. This is why shadow work is so fucking important. You cannot walk into this space of these higher realm of your higher self on some emotional shit. Because this ain't built for emotion in this level. This ain't no emotional shit over here. Like, why are you bringing emotional things into a space that's outside of that continuum? Why are you bringing aspects of time into a continuum, into a space that doesn't work on time? This is how you mess up your fucking alignment. And this is how motherfuckers are messing up their alignment every single day. Because you can sit there and be like, use an example. Full moon, for example, is strongest the day before and the day after. It's a 3-day cycle of that energy. In my mind, since I already know this and it's imprinted in my mind, that means 3 days before, those 3 days before the full moon, that's when I'm writing intentions. That's when I'm setting up for my spirit. That's when I'm getting the download for my spiritual bath that I just took today. That I took my spiritual bath. That's when I took those aspects. I'm like, okay, cool. I got all that's lined up, ready to go. So when I come into this space right here, I don't have to worry about, man, I'm not going to have time to do it. This going to come up. This going to happen. I'm not thinking about anything that could happen, because all of those are the problems that can stop me from getting into my work. All those are things that'll stop you from getting into yourself. You've created those conduits inside of your life to stop you from doing your work, from doing God's work. You have set yourself up into that position to allow these things to come into your life based on the being thought forms. And now that you have created those thought forms, they sustain based on your new effects in the original cause. They're within the polarity. Your middle point is clouded. That spiritual mirror and your physical mirror, your spiritual mirror is clouded with doubt, and so your physical mirror is clouded with doubt. They match each other. This is where you always heard about, when you think about they were battling in the heavens. Nigga, that means there was a battle going on inside you. Your internal world was in battle. When you use these, when you understand these aspects, you're able to say, wait, if something's going on in my mind's not in the right space, then that's why my life ain't right. That's the battle in the heavens. That's the battle in the heavens that matriculates down to what happens on earth. That's your external, that's your remaining in the external point of being sticks onto the primary objective of the ego. The primary objective of the ego is to sustain. I wrote it down. The primary objective of the ego is to protect and provide knowledge to postulate the symbols and the traumas. So it's living through those symbols and those traumas. So you created this entire program based off of those original problems and them traumas. So that's why when they give you stupid shit on TV, like I'll use House for example. If you've never seen House, it's on Prime Video, it's free right now. Go and watch a couple seasons. Or you look at a show that the way that they put it together don't make no physical sense in the real world. Like there's no way in my mind, in understanding, that I'm going to wait it out for somebody in this thought process to do all of these things in front of me, waiting for them to see me. That's an external state program that as long as I'm in the position where I'm at right now, I'll get what I need to get. As long as I'm standing here giving attention to that. That's my intention. That's the setting that most people do based on that 12 by 12 mentality. They'll see my worth, and then they'll see my worth, and then you'll move into the same frequency. You ain't even move up, you just move to the same frequency. You moved over close to the middle point. I'm gonna do all this stuff. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna get all buff. I'm gonna get all toned. I'm gonna go get these breast implants. I'm gonna go get these ass shots, and then they're gonna wish they paid attention to me because I'm gonna have all this new stuff. What did you work on in the beginning with your energy? You got to take that sometimes as a fucking blessing that somebody didn't pay attention to you. This is the aspect I got into this in the podcast episode about rejection. You have to be ready for the aspects of rejection. You got to be ready for that no, because it's showing you something about yourself. Why can't they do this, or why aren't they doing that for me, or why is this not coming to me? Internal reflection, shadow work. What am I not showing myself? Yes, rejection 9 times out of 10 equals a blessing, because it's giving you, remember, everything down here is your training ground. So when you're looking at things and you get a moment, like, for example, for myself, in the work that I do now, as a coach, like doing everything that I do, from lectures to working on podcasts, doing everything that I do now is an ownership position. It's ownership. LLC. My traumas stopped me from getting the job that I wanted or the career that I thought I needed, but it did not stop me from getting the LLC or my ownership mentality in play. So right now at this point in time, my mind will naturally reject anything that comes to me that's not on my frequency. Naturally. Like I have probably 6 of my old jobs right now. When they found out that I was no longer working for my last job, each one of the managers or managing partners or area directors or whatever it may be got in contact with me like, yo, you ready to come back? To do what? To open up stores and run the line and be a shift lead. I was like, no, no. This is your aspect of when you're looking at the space in your life. When you're looking at your family, most of them niggas are relatives to you now. There's shit that you do right now that they don't agree with, that they can't see that level of light of understanding. So then you start realizing that the reason that you keep going in conflict with them is because you're trying to pull them into your level of understanding while they're trying to keep you to pull you back into their level of understanding. So you were related to them based upon the trauma. You were related to them based on the events that came up to bring you to where you're at now. Same thing when I say about friends. Most of your friends are really your associates because you were working for them. Either they were working for you or y'all were working. Either you were working for them or they were working for you because y'all were associates, or y'all work for the same conglomerate, i.e. mean girls, i.e. bad boys. Removing that veil allows you to see the true definition for you to move forward. Removing that veil allows you to be able to see the things that you need to see within that space. Yeah. And that's the best part. Like you are going to cut a lot of people out of your life. And the key is, as you're cutting, similar to when you're taking in information for research, the things that you let go of, they're better able to be researched because it's new information that you can bring in. So take that information and you like, I cut this person off because of this, and I cut them off because of this. My standard based on my healing is what's most important. So this boundary, that cutoff was valid. I don't need closure because that's my closure. You're giving yourself closure when you are able to state what that reason was. Like I take the aspect of when someone like the person asked me when I did the reading and they asked me about their mother, they asked me about my mother. I was like, I haven't talked to my mother in like damn near 6 months, 6 to 7 months. Because there's no reason for me to have a conversation with my mother. At this point in time, it will feel forced. The only thing that I can bring up is everything that I would bring up for myself where I'm at now would seem like I was bragging. In her eyes, in her mind, sisters, friends, people that I used to fuck with, it would just seem like bragging. At a certain point in time, you have to be around individuals where when you talking about your life, if someone's to send me a text message, send me a text and ask me what am I doing, I always have something I'm doing. Always. Almost 90% of the time. Even when I'm doing nothing. And I've mastered doing nothing. I'm doing something. There's something moving in my head. Even if I'm sitting here like zoning out after a fucking session because I used so much fucking energy and I'm sitting here looking at the fucking TV. If someone sends me a text and asks me what am I doing, I have 6 to 7 to 8 to 9, 12 plans in my head that I'm doing. Oh yeah, I'm working on this and I'm working on this and I'm doing this. And I'm thinking about the music for the next podcast. I'm thinking about what prints I want to put on the next tapestries, what shirts prints I want to put out next, if I want to work on these shoes next. Like, damn, you always doing something. I was going to, because 9 times out of 10, you got to fill that space with your positive energy. Because 9 times out of 10, they're trying to fill your space with something. Set your goal or you become somebody else's. Set your goals or become somebody else's goal. Because if you always in a position not doing anything, not reading, not studying, not doing anything for yourself, you always going to be the go to somebody else. You'll always be the go-to for a ride. You'll always be the go-to for money. You'll always be the go-to for somebody. You'll always be the go-to for somebody to stay somewhere. because you ain't got no goal. You ain't got no goal. And the key to set a goal is the main key, secret key to setting a goal is when you set a goal, that goal is so large, that goal is so intricately aggressively, it's so aggressively intricate that it forces you to become a different individual. It's forcing you to become the higher aspect to embrace that goal. That's the key to setting a goal. What most people set as goals are like footnotes. I'm going to lose 100 pounds. Why? So I can fit into this dress. Why? So people can look at me. Oh, you see how that goal worked and fizzled? Because by the time you reach that, when you reach that space, when you reach the halfway point, then you're like, damn, I'm not losing the weight. You have something to revert back to. I love myself anyway. They don't love me for who I am, flaws and all, then they don't love me. The goal is forcing you to change. So my goal, it was to go back down from 215 to 190, 196. I'm back to 196 and ever so dropping. That goal for me was, let me see how many intentions I can set while I'm at the gym. Let me see how many shadows I can deal with and what I can build while I'm at the gym. As I'm sitting there when I'm sitting there doing my arm day or chest or back or core or my leg day, I have certain set intentions and goals that I'm implementing into those works. So the natural breakdown of the ugly phase, the tension phase, is already phased into my subconscious. This is you programming yourself to become the ultimate superpower. This is you using your shadow work to become the ultimate superpower. Tapping into your abilities. I have the abilities right now where my sense of smell and taste, my sense of smell, I can smell something burnt or taste something burnt. That means somewhere in my life, energy is being burnt out. Something's about to burn out in my life, or something's about to burn out in the phase. And as I started working on it to extend it to the outside aspect, if I do a reading for somebody and I taste something burnt before I do a reading for somebody, I can guarantee 9 times out of 10, one of the cards that's going to get pulled out is the Two of Wands or the Knave of Wands. So then when I think about sight, all of the cards that I intuitively read based upon sight, my vision gets blurry. Because I'm learning how to use my powers in real life. That's me using my intuition. That's the intuitive aspect. The next time, if you have not looked at your natal chart, holler at me and we can do a natal chart analysis. Look at your natal chart and go into your 12th house. Your 12th house is all about your transition, going to the next life. Your 12th house is basically about death, the death of your human aspects. That's where Lilith is in a lot of people's 12th house. Saturn and all that's in your 12th house. When you see Saturn and all them aspects, that's the aspects of killing old off aspects of yourself and rising into the higher aspects of yourself. That's why looking at your natal chart or your natal chart is broken into those 4 quadrants. And each quadrant has 3 aspects within it. You're mastering all these aspects. The one that has Lilith in it, that's about your transition. That's your primordial self. This is the key of learning yourself on every different level. And learning why, because most people, when they look at when I do a natal chart analysis for some people and they read it, a lot of shit in their life starts to make sense because that is your original blueprint. That is one of the key blueprints that's in your life. You look at that, you be like, wow, that's why that happened. That's why this happened. And then you feel now you start to feel better. You don't feel good because we don't want to feel good. We want to feel better. Feeling good feeds the ego. Feeling better feeds the soul. So you start feeling better about the decisions that you made. I'm glad I cut off 19 people last. I'm glad I looked at my contact list and can't none of these motherfuckers change the tire. I looked at my contact list and can't none of these motherfuckers give me show me how to make $100 in some type of no. These motherfuckers cannot tell me how to get a return on my investment that's higher than the one that I came into. So you start looking at these things in your life and you're like, yo, it makes sense. Yes. Like those things make your shit, those things that make your whole, you're like, damn, it all makes sense. And then you start understanding that it's a part of your program. That's the programming aspect. When you learn, you're learning these things to unlearn other aspects of yourself. You're tapped into a divine aspect. That's why you went through the things that you went through, because those things would kill a human. Most of the things that happen to you, most of the things that happened to me would have killed a regular human being, would have killed a fucking human. Them niggas would have been fucking dead. The things that I experienced, the near deaths that I experienced, gave me the whole aspect of, nigga, that's why you are a shaman. Because the near death experiences, because you have to experience death to even become a shaman. It's like written in the bylaws. To be a shaman, you have to experience the aspect of death in order for your body to be able to transition on. That's why I got Lynx, my little kitty cat, and I ordered his bigger version's coming. Baby Lynx or baby Basset. And then I got little Edward right here, my crow. Those are my spirit animals. Along with the wolf, my other spirit animal, into those aspects. So those are the things that I see the most of the times around me all the time. When I go for a walk in the sun to relax, stretch my legs after a long day of typing up shit and typing up things and getting everything together, I go out there and I'm like, oh shit. I have this same, I was coming home one day and outside of the house, there was a dead squirrel in the yard. There was a dead squirrel in the road. I laughed. I was like, oh, there's a dead squirrel in the road. When I went for my walk, I saw there's a black cat out here. I name him Patches. He was over there eating a damn squirrel. I was like, the circle of life, because the squirrel ate that. When I leave every single day to go to the gym, the same 4 crows are outside, sitting outside. Fred, Rico, Mitch, and Donnie are sitting outside waiting for me to come out, waiting for me to go outside. And then they wait for me whenever it's time to take the fruit or whatever I got on the altars and I chop that shit up. I sit it out there on my fucking balcony and they eat the fucking they eat it and taking it to the ethers. So everything around me is doing exactly what it need to do. This is how you start embracing your shit. I embrace my shit every fucking day. It is not going to be, motherfuckers can look at me and be like, that nigga worship the devil. Nigga, how can I worship something that I am? You're right. I do. That nigga do voodoo. Yes, I do my spirit, because all voodoo means spirit. Yes, you are right. This is how you start setting yourself into that space of being like, you're right, I do that. Because it gives you a nexus point to feed from. You're feeding from everything. Either you're being fed upon or you're feeding. One of the two things, that's what you're doing down here. Either you're feeding upon something or you're being fed upon. That shit is trippy. Like I remember the first time I looked at, there was a black cat. My first experience with cats. We don't get back to the lecture. My first experience with cats was my grandmother's gray cat, Squirrel. She let me name her. She let me name her. She let me name the cat. He had green. He had one green eye and he had one black eye. Actually, he had two green eyes, but it wasn't until when I started channeling my grandmother that she was like, his eyes would change only during the full moon phases. Like during the new moon, this eye would turn black and this eye would stay green. And during the full moon, this eye would turn green, and this eye would become black. His eyes would change colors according to the moon phases. I was like, I never noticed that. That was my first experience with cats. After that point, I remember channeling. I remember the first time I was getting in contact with my grandmother, I started seeing mad cats. And I was back at I was at my mother's house. So I'll be at my mom's crib, and there'd be this gray cat every single day. I was at my mother's house for a little bit. Every day I would go sit on the front porch. It'd be cold as hell outside. But this cat would walk up. It would be like, I would be like, see the cat sitting out there at the mailbox. I'd be like, huh, it's going to come up here. I sit outside. Slowly but slowly, the cat was like literally teleporting because it wasn't crawling. It wasn't walking. It was teleporting. I would look away, look back over. It would be closer. And by the time I even knew it, it was like sitting right beside me, just sitting there, just purring. And I would look at it. It didn't want nothing to eat. I'll look at it. And I go on about my business having whole conversations. And then I would notice I would be having like some of the most trippy conversations with myself when it was present. Not realizing at that point in time that I'm sitting here, I'm having this conversation because this cat is here and it is the transmitter of this information or this conversation. It's hearing everything that I'm saying. When you look at cats, also, if you see a cat and you walking around, you see a cat and the cat goes low to the ground, it's because it's seeing your auric field is low. Cats see your level of light. So based on your level of light is how high it raises itself. This is when you go into the story of Basset. This is when it raises itself. So most cats, when they see me, they'll be at like high peak at their self. And if it's a cat that needs to give me some information, if it's a cat that's at a lower peak, it knows my energy is low because I just woke up or I'm just coming into a new charge. So I can start using these signs around me at all points in time. This is the aspect that when you start really doing your witchy, when you start doing your shit and you start seeing everything as what it is. You're not looking at it as bad or good. You ain't looking at it as, oh my God, that's a bad omen that dog did. No, nigga, it's doing what it's supposed to do. What are you doing? When it comes into reaching your highest state, it's about balancing out those mirrors. This is where you have the stories about. I gotta get a bottle of water. 1 second. I need to get a bottle of water. And this. And this. Balancing your mirrors. At a moment like right now, where the veil is the thinnest, being that Hallow's Eve, being that it's Hallow's Eve, and you have that power of this blue moon coming through, this is the best time to embrace the shift at your level of where you are at. You're not worrying about other individuals and people and places and things of that nature matching your shit. I play with light all the time. It tripped me out when I'm be playing with lights. I see lights and shit sparkling and shit. Shifting your mirror is going to involve you coming out of that level of complacency where you became normal at. There's things that I can do now that if you told the 18-year-old me, the 16-year-old me, the 17-year-old me, any of the shit, right? Like if I was to go back and be like, let me go pull the 16 and the 17 and the 15 in 4 aspects of myself, representing those 4 pillars: air, wind, water, earth. I'm fire. So water, earth, wind. Yeah. Water, earth, and wind. I pull those aspects to me right here. And to tell them what I'm doing now, they look at me like I lost my fucking mind. Because it has to become obscene to your old self. The things that you're going through in this space, they have to become obscene to your old self. Your old self can't relate to where you're at now. It only can relate to you based upon the aspect of your growth, but it's not familiar to this space. It's not familiar. So when you start doing your shadow work and you start seeing those dark spaces in your shadows, those are the spaces where those are actually going to be the spaces where you're going to be the most familiar, because those are going to be the truest aspects of yourself. The lighthearted candy shit ain't gonna mean shit to you. Like I can sit in this space right now, like I put together 3 different composite ritual spells for myself, and when I did my spiritual bath earlier, I was trying out some new herbs. That's a new combination of herbs. Shit was fucking fire. Getting me there, it was showing me that veil was thinner, and that's why I had to do the bath. And I do the baths. You hit me up. We put together. We can talk about what kind of bath you need. You might need a bath you just need like a simple bath into that aspect of cleansing yourself, aligning yourself, unlocking your prosperity, unlocking your abundance. We can do that. I do the custom baths. The custom baths are $60. All baths come with 2 baths in each kit. So you got enough to do for the new moon and your full moon aspect, the embracing your energy. So if you want to work with Tiamat energy, I already have that channel for that bath. If you want to work with Asmodeus, the king of the demons, the king of the demons, like lust and all of these aspects of yourself, unlocking yourself from lustful thoughts. When you're working with these energies, you're working with them. You work with them in 2 ways. In 2 ways. 2 ways. Break it down to motherfuckers. A lot of people still got that shit confused. You work with these shits in 2 ways. You work with to serve, or you work with to become. Serve or become. So if you work with Asmodeus energy, for example, if you work with Asmodeus energy to serve, the things that he will ask you to do, or that energy is going to ask you to do, or ask you to fulfill that contract, are going to be on lower level things of humanity, because it needs you to stay within humanity to do its bidding. because you're in the lower level aspects. When you are becoming the energy of Asmodeus, for example, the aspects of lust, you are acknowledging your urges to be lustful and where you are lustful, what you are lustful for in your life. So you're learning to combat and no longer be the lustful aspect of yourself. And I put together that bath, get the channel, drop your bath. You got an oil in there, you got some incense, you got some good shit in there. You got sage, you got the sage properly charged for that bath, and we do all that type of work. But you're either becoming the energy or you're serving the energy. You got one or two aspects. Some people are born to serve in this life cycle. That's all they can do is serve the energy. They can't become it. They have not done the work to become it. They're stuck in that servitude aspect. Others, you're built to actually, everybody's either built to serve or become, but only the ones that accept the calling and do the work can become the energy. So me being Papa Lucifer, that's me. Every aspect of my humanity, from all of my names based on my humanity, nicknames, all that shit, all of those were things that I had to understand, bring to the middle point, bring clarity to why it existed, to be able to see both sides of the coin, to take that energy on forward. So now, if I go into a space, so let's say I do go to somebody's house that I don't fuck with no more. Let's say I see them in the street. They're going to see me as the old me. They're going to see that automatically because that's the level of light. I can move through that projection speaking at this level. I'm protected. This is motherfuckers like, I'm protected by the spirit. This is how you're protected by the spirit. You're protected by your higher aspects of yourself because you have to live in this. I don't live in this vessel. You don't live in your vessel. Therefore, everything down here you don't own because you don't own. Only thing you own is the vessel, and that's based on the programming that you put into the vessel that you're using at that time. So, using this vessel, I can augment it. I can augment my reality to fit the spaces that I'm going into. Channel coming through. I can augment my reality to fit the spaces that I need to go into. So if I go into, let's say I go into the gym, I'm an entirely different individual than when I go into the gym than when I go into Sprouts or when I go into Food Lion or when I go into Walmart. I'm always going to be a different individual based on their level of light and perception of understanding me into that space. If I go into the gym, one of my favorite shirts that I have when I go into the gym, I have a shirt that says sweat. If you watch Meditate and Elevate on Instagram, my IG, or on my Facebook, I got a shirt that says sweat more, bitch less. One of my favorite workout shirts. I wear that shirt till it's fucking soaking wet. That's the program or the body of light that I'm using while I'm in that space. That don't mean that I can, since I've submitted myself to the attributes of that ideal of that energy and of that light, body of light in that space. That means I've created that body of light for that space to do the work within that space. Since I have done that, I can use the attributes from that space. That means all the intentions, everything that I set within that space, I can use all of that information in everywhere that I go. It's not based, you're doing your shit, it's not going to be based on, man, but what if they don't like me? Or what if they don't understand me? Therefore, that is a space that no longer serves your light. That is a space that no longer serves your light. You no longer can hide under that cloak of darkness that was in that space no longer exists for you to be within that space. So when we start thinking about the aspects of our traumas or the things that keep us wound up or keep us sad or keep us in a fucking constant state of perpetual fucking suffering, You gonna get to a point in your healing when you're gonna be sitting there like, nigga, that shit don't even faze me no more. That's your key. That is gonna be a major fucking key. That's a major fucking key. When you go into a space and the shit that's set in there don't faze you no more, you know you've been doing your work. You know you've been doing what you're supposed to have been doing. As long as you can go into that space and it can faze you, it can affect you, that means you still got some work to do. So to all the motherfuckers that will say every fucking year, do not wish me a happy fucking Thanksgiving because that's a white man holiday and it represents the slaughtering of the Indians and all of that bullshit. That means that you have not done the work. Because I can go into a space that got fucking happy Thanksgiving everywhere in the way that I use happy Thanksgiving in the aspect of the crowning achievement is off with the head of my ego. So what, can I celebrate off with my head of my ego at this time? Yes, I can. The slaughtering of the savage aspect of myself? Yes, because the savage aspects of myself is humanity. Breathe. That's the savage aspects of the humanity. My humanity is savage compared to the godhood of the being in godhood, being the God, being the chaos being, being the Titan, being the shaman, being what I am now. So can I go in there? I am thankful. That's why it makes it even easier because I ain't got to go into the space because ain't no one gonna ask me to say grace. I remember the last time I went to a Thanksgiving and they asked me to say grace, and the shit was so fucking coded. I did Aleister Crowley proud. The way that I coded the entire prayer. Because they didn't know what, they all said amen. And I was like, of course, I say Ashe just for myself. But like when they said amen, it just sealed my shit to be hidden because amen means the hidden one. So I can use that space to encode what I need to encode into that space. Go in that space. I would like to say thank you for everything that it's came into this season and all the things that I've learned and the things that we embrace. And I would like to say thank you for the things that have been shown to me and the boundaries that we have created in ourselves for going forward. Amen, 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 amen. They finished my fucking spell for me. Feeding from the environment. That is your God-given talent. Feeding from all environments. If you don't know how to feed from it, that's when you become pious. That's the love. That's when motherfuckers become. That's when their piety comes from. I don't go over there because they ain't vegans. They ain't plant-based. They eat meat still. I don't give a fuck if you eat meat or whatever the fuck you do. Because 9 times out of 10, that meat eater will say something that is going to resonate with me. And if I'm stuck on the fundamental aspect of this nigga eating a chicken wing while he's saying it, I can't take in the information. Therefore, I can't feed. Therefore, I cannot eat. Therefore, I cannot remain hungry. Because the aspect of him, just the aspect of him being in that space, eating something that I won't eat, that charges my hunger. You see how that works? When you go into a space where they're eating something that you don't eat, that engages your hunger to be able to speak and listen to what you need to listen to further keep you away from that environment. Stop accepting them old definitions. Man, that's your uncle. I don't care. I don't care. It's not up to me to tell my uncle that he got Shango on his head. That just sounds stupid after a while. Like, you got Shango on your head. Because now he's not at the level of he's not at the level for me to even explain that to him. So why would I waste my time unless I was led to say it in that space? If I'm not led to say it, I'm not going to say it. If I'm not led to do it, I'm not going to do it. If I don't feel like doing it, I'm not going to do it. Man, that sound this is from the basis of everything that I'm saying is from the basis of being healed, being in that healing position, being in that growing position. If it's not, I'm at a point in my mindset in my life where if it's not making me, if it's not challenging me to grow or to become larger, I don't want it in my life. If it's not challenging me to become larger, if it's not challenging me to become bigger, then I expand my auric field into my angelic field and expand my angelic field into my higher field, into my universe, to build my universe. I don't want it in my life. I don't need that veil to keep me, yeah. And this is where most people come when they get stuck in. And the most important part is to realize what is your purpose and where are you at? What are you? One trend that I do see, and there's a separation from it. And it's easy to make the separation because it does it by itself. Because once you realize it, everybody is not supposed to be out here making beads. Everybody out here ain't supposed to be selling. Everybody ain't out here supposed to be selling bubble tea or that weight loss tea. Everybody ain't supposed to do. Everybody's not out here supposed to be doing what I'm doing, and that's the okay aspect. I remember the first thing that happened to me when I've really started getting into doing my works, doing the works that I do. I remember the first time I told one of my longtime friends, basically I broke it down saying, nigga, I'm a fucking occult therapist. And I teach the aspects of shadow work. And I remember I had to break it down like, nigga, basically I do therapy. I help niggas break down their mind in therapy. The first thing my man said was like, yo, you know black people don't like therapy. They don't do therapy. Nigga, I'm not doing it for black people. Surprise. I'm not doing it for black people. I'm doing it for gods. I'm doing it for guys I'm doing it for the guys that realize that they forgot that they were gods. I'm not doing this for the humanity aspect. So I don't expect anything from humanity. I don't expect humanity to understand. I understand why they don't understand. Therefore, that's why I don't need them to understand. So that doesn't become my driving force into keeping my pages or whatever in a certain aspect of I got to keep a certain amount of humans around me to keep pumping in information and keep in that trend, because I'm not looking for a trend. If this is your first time, if this is your first time, or this is you've been rocking since a period of time, if you listen to any of my lectures, listen to any of the podcasts, you notice that my topics are never in the realm of sustaining humanity or voting or human shit. I don't talk about human shit. That's just something I can do it. I know how to do it. I can probably get 1 million views in doing it, but then the spirit that work with me, the energy that is embodied within me wouldn't work within me. It would leave me. And I'd be sitting there looking for motherfuckers to go now debate with and go argue with, just to maintain my face or my identity within that space. This is what a lot of people do when you're going into your healing aspects for yourself. You're in that space. You're remaining in that space. You remain argumentative in that space to maintain that space. Because on the other end of that coin is your unknown. The other end of that coin is your unknown. And then the unknown is your pure chaos. And your unknown is the undefined chaos or the potential. Once you understand the chaos, once you've understood the trauma or the chaos that you've been through, and understand the aspects of death and it's that transition, all that shit becomes easy. This shit's easy. This shit lit. This shit's fun. First one to tell you, this shit's fun. This shit's fun. Walking around in the gym with this on, walking around in the gym with this on my fucking face, working out, it's fucking fun looking at motherfuckers' faces. Looking at their faces is it's hilarious to me. Being able to being able to set my own tone, being able to live within my energy, being able to live within my energy, being able to do everything that I want to do as I need to do it is some of the funnest shit. It's some of the best shit that you're looking for. Being able to sit in your position in the aspect of worry melts the fuck away. The aspect of stress melts away because even when you think for a second, for a millisecond, a microsecond, macrosecond, and microsecond, that shit is not going your way, your higher self is going to be like, will lift your head and be like, look this way. Nigga, everything's going exactly how it need to go. Keep going. That's the power of the unknown. The unknown is ultimate potential of energy that you tap into and do what you need to do with. That's the power of the unknown. That is the power of the unknown. When you embrace your unknown, the fuck? One second. Oh, we back. All right, cool. When you embrace the unknown, you're embracing the aspects of your magic. That's your magic. That's your premise of your magic. What you set your tone for and how you set it is going to always be based upon your level of your frequency. Those trails, those veils, that shit that you get hidden behind or you like hiding yourself behind, those are the aspects that you're going to have to work on. When you're setting your intentions, when you're doing your work, when you're doing your meditations, when you're doing your due diligence and doing your disciplines, the things that are coming up, the dust that you're kicking up, those are the things that you have to deal with in order to actually embrace that next level of your energy. It becomes disheartening to some because you have the human mentality, which is always present, of needing and wanting. So your human mentality will always need and want things on the lower aspect. I need someone that understands me, or I need this job, or I need this house, or I need this, and that. How have you built it in your mind? What does your house look like in your mind? I got 6 houses. I took 6 houses from the archetype of when I was in the 5th grade and someone told me to go to hell. And I was like, nigga, I live there. I own the whole south side of hell. I said that shit out loud, 5th fucking grade. Like, nigga, I own the whole south side of hell. My homie Lorenzo and my homeboy Nate was like, yeah, I own the east side and Nate on the north side. We run hell. Like, we just said that shit. Like, that's your mindset to say your reaction to things is going to be in the most proactive manner. You're not reacting to anything anymore because your knowing is the being proactive. So you know exactly what to say to stir that pot. Stir that pot up. You need the chaos to feed from. So staying stagnant is the reason that a lot of people are in a space where they're at right now and they're not doing anything. You're looking at individuals right now that have been telling you about economic plans for the last 7, 8, 10, 9, 15 fucking years. We need an economic plan. Yeah. But it's not competing in that aspect. It's like you're not, there's no need to compete when you know what you're building. See, for myself, like, take this aspect. For myself, it's like I've built entire worlds before. I've built worlds. I'm getting back to the point of where I can go back to go build worlds. That's my thing, to go build, seed, and create entire civilizations. I've done that shit in my mind. I got a whole fucking race. I got a whole fucking quadrant of fucking people, of entities that are outside of the spectrum of color and understanding to this level of realm. And that's my healing quadrant. When I need to heal myself after a long day of working out, a long day of a long day of using my energy in a certain level, when I meditate, when I go to bed, I'm like, nigga, I need to rest. My body like, nigga, shut it down. I shut it down, I can go to that quadrant because I've built that quadrant for myself. I've built that space. So if somebody was to take me off right now, like, this is my time to get knocked off right now, I have a quadrant to go to heal and to teach and to do what I'm doing down here up there. This is what you're doing. You're taking yourself from this, fuck this shit, because everything you're doing up there naturally comes down here anyway. It's going to come down here in one shape or form because your body of light is still down here doing the work. As long as you're down here doing what you need to be doing until your expiration comes, that date comes up, your expiration, what really matters is it don't matter what you've done. What matters down here is just the lineage and the legacy that you left behind. Like, if I left right now, I have 60 some odd podcast episodes. I got about 45 lectures. I'm about to start doing the guided meditation piece, the guided meditation classes. That's coming up soon. I'm going to have about 10 or 11 of those shits. I have something left here that will allow my energy to continue to postulate even after I leave. So even if I'm doing the work down here subsequently to match my mirror in my higher self, in my spiritual, in that astral plane, in the houses and the shit that I build up there, so that when it's time for me to shift from that space, I have something down here that would empower that to go up. That is you helping your people. I don't have to say I'm helping my people because my people are already helped. I'm fucking with gods. I'm fucking with the gods. I'm fucking with the chaos beings. I'm fucking with the titans. I'm fucking with the higher level niggas, the higher level aspects of my individuals. I'm not fucking with people that are still going to go sit in a pew for 6.5 hours. I've never been to a black church. I've only heard them horror stories about them shits being 8-9 hours, and y'all got just to go get some food at the end of it. So y'all suffered through 8 or 9 hours of and whatever the fuck it is to do that. I didn't have to go through that aspect, but I had the examples. This is an aspect of understanding the examples. I didn't have to go through that church shit to do what I'm doing now. I didn't have to, but I've heard the stories. I've seen plenty of Tyler Perry's, and I thank Tyler Perry for that shit because that nigga put that shit in every fucking movie. I was like, damn, nigga, that's what that shit look like. Don't want to do it. Don't have to do it. But for me, for the ones that didn't have to go through, for the ones that went through that aspect, in reflection in that polarity, I was the one that between my ages of 5 to about 9, I went to catechism. That's Catholic. That's the Catholic aspect. That's the Catholic school shit. I went to catechism. The only thing that I looked forward on a Sunday was Mass was an hour. And Christmas Mass was 2 hours, 3 hours. So that is my reflection. This, when you start looking at the reflections, tell me your experience about going to a black church. I'll tell you my experience going to a Catholic church. And that's your learning aspect. You're learning from everything. So when a motherfucker like, man, fuck white Jesus and all that shit, fuck Jesus, Jesus wasn't real, they're telling you that they're not real. They need to keep, subsequently in their mind, they need to program into your head to keep saying Jesus isn't real so they can exist in your life. So they have you to follow them to be like, yeah, Jesus wasn't real. So then you agree. So now you stuck in that wavelength or in that frequency of saying Jesus wasn't real. But then you come to me and it's like, nigga, you are Jesus. You are the Christ. You are the Christos energy. The Christos energy is your Kundalini or your Serpentine or your Naga energy. That's what it is. Oh, nigga, so I am Jesus. Your key is to find your connection to everything without becoming attached. This takes you into the aspect of understanding what you are, the essence of everything. Ooh. Most people come into this space and are like, nah, man, but, and they'll argue for an hour about Allah meaning womb, meaning woman. Allah meaning womb. Okay, go deeper. I'm either going to say one or two things to individuals that like to argue. Go deeper or you're right. That's the only thing that I can give to them. I'm not going to give them anything else outside of that besides go deeper. Go deeper or you're right. What you mean? I know two people right now that argue up and down with me about what Baphomet means. Like they will try to argue with me up and down about what Baphomet means. I don't give a shit. I have the deeper understanding of what the Baphomet is. I can simplify it and be like, Baphomet, if you want to know what Baphomet is, go study Shiva, go study Buddha, go study Ganesh, go look at all their headpieces. They all match and do the same hand gesture, or they all have the same equivalent hand gesture and the same wings. I got a Buddha tapestry sitting over on the wall over here. He got his floating scarf behind him. That's his wings. He got his hands like this. That's coagulating, congealing, coagulating. Another example of finding the connection, not getting attached. That is a great question. Another example of finding the connection and not getting attached is looking at, I'm going to use a simpler one. I'm going to use a simpler one when it comes to shadow work. This is one good for shadow work. Look at all of your relationships. Give a story. I can look at all of my relationships, and the reason that I can clearly disengage, and not have any, I have love for every ex. I got love for every ex because every one of my exes, not thinking about them outside of emotion, thinking about myself. because self is they're a reflection of you. They all showed me an aspect of myself that I needed to work on from earlier relationships for myself, where I would get to a certain point and then I would initiate self-sabotage because there was unhealed aspects that I did not want them to get close to. So I grew into until I recognized that pattern, I was attached to constantly getting into relationships only to do a self-sabotaging technique. So every one of my exes taught me something about myself, whether it was my strength or they taught me my strength and my weakness. When you're looking into everything based on, when you're breaking away from attachment is, in the most simplest way to explain it, is the inability to charge yourself to whatever it may be. When it's a connection, when you're studying to understand aspects of a connection, I can look at my strengths in a relationship that I was in, and I can look at my weaknesses. And I can now connect my strengths and my weaknesses and now provide myself a charge that can allow me to have closure to understand why that relationship was needed in my life at that point in time. This removes those burdens of the heart. This is what's going to remove those burdens from the heart. Because if I was still sitting here right now at this point in time and I'm thinking about the relationship I was in when I was 16, that means a part of my mind in my subconscious is still going to act as the 16-year-old based on the development, my behavioral patterns, my mentalities. I'm still going to be acting as the 16-year-old. I'm still going to be 16, acting in a certain way. I'm still going to be doing self-sabotage in my recent as acting as the 16-year-old. So it's already naturally within my narrative because I'm still attached to something that I didn't learn when I was 16. So that's the aspect of not getting attached. Similar to when you look at, I'll use another one, white supremacy. If everything is a reflection of me, and I know that I can go get the information and I can say, nigga, we grafted these niggas inside of a cave. Okay, cool. In the metaphysical sense, I created this nigga in a cave. I created another aspect or a reflection of me in this space, in this realm, to do the things that I did not want to do. I had that thought back in 2004 when I had a hit blunt moment. And this is when like Granddaddy Perp and this is when we started getting exotic back in 2003, 2004. If you can go back that far, 2003, 2004, that's when we started becoming exotic. When hash and haze and all that shit hit the scene. So I remember I had a hit the blunt moment. I was like, what if that was created? And I said this shit, one of my high moments. What if that was created so I didn't have to go over there anymore? It took me 6 years to understand what the fuck I said then. It took me 6 years to understand that. But that was my first boundary that I set for myself because I was realizing the stuff that, like, I'll give you this example. The shit that I'm talking about right now, and the questions that you're about to ask in about 5 minutes. When we start asking questions, the question ask period. The stuff that I'm talking about now, the stuff that I'm living in now, I was saying back then while I was high but I was thinking when I was not in an altered state of consciousness. So it meant for myself that this is understanding the attachment and connection. I had to detach from getting high around certain people and having these conversations because I was attached to the point of being high to have this conversation to exist. So when you're thinking about your attachment is based on your needing to exist within that plane. That's why you got motherfuckers out here right now that get fucked up around certain individuals. But then when there's no alcohol or no weed or no drugs, they're not around you because you're in a different altered state of consciousness that they can handle in that space. They're unconscious to it, but they're attached to that level of they're willing to submit themselves to that space to get that feeling. And this is when you think about the aspects of like most people use sex or sexual energy, the sexual impulses, and they use that as love. Most people will use the sexual impulses and think that's the aspect of building love on. So they'll think they made me feel good, they made me cry, they made me shake, they made me fall the fuck out, some basic level shit of fucking sex. They'll think that and that 12 by 12 mentality that we've been breaking down, that 12 by 12 mentality, they'll judge the worth of something based on that and the amount of times that can be done. So that equals, oh, that's hubby right there. That's wifey right there. She got this, this, and this. And then this is what you can start looking at the attachments based on trends and all that shit. Like most people look at like, oh, she got that. Like I remember my brother. I'm sounding like fucking Panic. I remember my brother. My brother was stuck on red bone, stripper booty, long hair. That was his type. That was his type. Red bone, stripper booty, long hair. That was his type. That 12 by 12 mentality had him working 2 jobs to get the car, the place, the jewelry, all the shit to equal getting the red bone with the stripper booty and the long hair. That was his formula. Everything that he did went to that formula. That was his pattern. My brother could not see this pattern. So every time that I came around, I would acknowledge aspects of this pattern to him. Like he would always come to me and be like, yo, man, like she don't cook, she don't do this, she don't do this, she don't do this, she don't do nothing. And I'd be like, bruh, you said you wanted a red bone with a stripper booty and long hair. You got exactly what you wanted. You didn't implement what you needed. So now we coming into this zone, having that conversation. So, bruh, in your life, you implement your wants. You can tolerate to get your wants because in your mind, you're postulating to your mind, I'm getting I have my needs met. I just need this, this, and this. But at a point in time, based on that thought process that you're going through, that veil's going to come off because you're going to have a sense of emptiness in your life. You're going to feel empty. I need something more in my life. I need something more. What am I missing? This is when you implement the aspect of what pattern do I keep following and why do I keep following it? What's ingrained into my mind? What's ingrained into my thought process? What do I really need? I need nothing and I don't need or want for anything. Everything that I desire, everything that is required at a point in time, or a point in time in this context, it will be there when it's needed. So I don't have to worry or stress about it because I know it's already there. So that doesn't have my intention. So since that doesn't have my intention, since that doesn't have my intention, guess what I can do when I move forward? I don't have to worry about, will this make me money? Will this make me this? Will this make me money? Will this make this for me? Because the making the money aspect is the attachment. And for a lot of us, we get stuck on the attachment aspect. If I do not have this, then I cannot make the money. That's an attachment. When you're in your higher self, you are connected to your abundance. You are connected to your prosperity. You are connected to your natural wealth. You're connected to your natural royal lineage of self. And then when you're sitting there in that position, you're like, what can I put? Since I'm aligned into my level of my light and abundance, what can I put on this that will magnify my manifesting my abundance? What can I put on here? And I always use that as an example because my example for myself is, how can I magnify what the information that I got to put out? What banner? What can I define in the chaos? This is me defining my chaos and create to my stream, so I can create the stream, my energy through in what I do. That's the ownership mentality. In the extremer aspect of your higher aspect in this level here, I have Got to Call Alchemist LLC. That is my company. That is my brand. That is my platform. From that platform, my business model, which is what it would translate down to this level, my business model, podcasts, lectures, services, products, clothing, merchandise, those are my streams. These are the streams of my content. The higher you go up, the more energy that you must invest into going into the higher levels. So someone can listen to YouTube free all fucking day. Podcast free all fucking day. I get paid off for fucking spins. I get paid off for downloads and spins. But I'm not looking for the down. My mindset's not stuck on, I got to do this podcast and I got to get this many spins to get this much money. That's not where my mindset's at, because I know that the way that I put together that podcast, the build of the podcast, similar to the build of a lecture, like this, like doing a lecture, from here, the information that resonates to the person that listens to it, they're going to want to transition just as I'm transitioning. So they're going to be in the reflection of the alignment of the energy of where I'm at. Their level of light and my level of light will be an equivalent. The humility will allow them to come into that space. Your humility, my humility allows me to come into this space and speak every Friday night. Your humility and your needing that information, needing something to feed, needing that to feed upon the study in the aspect of studying all and following none. You're studying and you're learning as I'm studying and I'm learning. That's the mirror. That's the mirror that's in balance. I move in that balance. As you're moving in that balance, you notice things start to shift. The change is going to be inherently constant. That's already there. What are you investing into that change? That is going to be the key to that formula to breaking that 12 by 12 pattern. What are you investing into your change to evolve, to challenge yourself to move forward? This is going to help you remove those veils. And I said I was going to give y'all the veil ritual. One of the best things to do, and I did it when I said the candlematic at the first. Tonight, it's 11:05 right now on Eastern Standard Time. I don't know where y'all at. Grab that candle. Grab a candle. Have a mirror somewhere, bathroom, wherever it be. You got a floor mirror. You got a mirror in your room, wherever it may be. Take that candle, sit in front of that mirror. That candle represents your old self. I want you to look into the candle. This is one of the things that I teach when I'm doing sessions. Look into the candle. I want you to gaze into that candle. I want you to put everything that you want to get rid of in your life and put it into that candle. And I'm not talking about generic shit. I'm not talking about, I want to get rid of my sadness. I want you to say why you are sad. I don't want you to say, I want to get rid of my anger. I want you to say why you are angry. When you look up into that mirror, after you programmed everything that you want to get rid of based on negative, when you looked into that mirror, you're making this process of removing the negative aspects to see the positive aspects. So when you're looking into the mirror, you're saying, I am love, I am peace, I am power, I am light, I am dark, I am duality. You're speaking that into that mirror. The reason why I'm saying, and I mean that shit when I say it, this is why I go so deep when I say that shit to people when I'm giving a session or a consultation. You're getting out of the generic aspect to activate the deeper aspects of the code that's within you. So it's not, I'm sad, and I want you to be honesty is the key to your transparency. Why are you sad? Why are you angry? Why are you upset? Why are you feeling what you're feeling? Why? That is the true definition of that level, that line, that chemtrail. That is the chemical composition of that chemtrail that keeps your soul and your eternal self from irradiating to the level that it needs to irradiate to. Just saying that you're sad or you're depressed, depression is simply your lower self and your higher self in argument, and your higher self saying, I'm tired of playing this role. How long are we gonna keep playing it? Anxiety is the aspect of your lower self is overthinking and is not allowing your higher self to actually formulate the aspects of why you're having that thought. Breaking it down, simplifying it to see that line, to see that veil, to take away the sense of control, to become intimate with your power. That's the key to any spell, is the intimacy with your power. There's spells that I can do in any given moment that I can just do simply based off of intent. I don't have to do the extra work because I've programmed it. It's already programmed for me to do naturally. Then because I have an intimacy with that aspect of my power. I have an intimacy with my divine masculine and the divine feminine in myself. I cannot be the divine masculine archetype until I'm in touch with the divine feminine aspects of myself. The things that nurture my knowledge, the wisdom to my knowledge. So when you're looking at these aspects and you're looking at yourself, your space is, if you are the feminine aspect, you're in this space to understand the knowledge or the masculine aspects. You're down here to understand what protection is. That's why when you looked at that space, when they're like, women became independent, you don't need no man, and all that shit, that became that narrative. that became that spell. The reason that it became a spell is so you would not go back into nurturing the knowledge that you had from being the independent woman. So you stayed wounded. You stayed the wounded feminine while embracing the masculine. So by nature, you're always going to attract, you see how you align? You're always going to attract the wounded feminine. You're always going to attract the wounded. You're always going to attract the wounded masculine because you are stuck in the space of the wounded feminine. This is how you start breaking. This is the key to breaking down those codes, those old codes, and start to rebuild yourself into the space that you're wanting to be in. Shifting yourself from this space over here to this space over here. Like, I'm done over here dealing with the aspects. Where am I wounded at in my feminine aspects of myself? Where am I wounded at in what is the wounded masculine? What is the wounded feminine? And these are the things that I teach and I do in sessions all day. This is how you start using points like right now where the veil is the thinnest to actually look at yourself. Every other day of the year, individuals look at themselves and they look at themselves in this face and they be like, yeah, this is me. And then you put on a mask and then you can be the real you. How about at this point in time, you start being the real you and you stop wearing the mask? Be the monster. Stop allowing the stagnation of that energy, your energy, stop allowing your energy to remain stagnant in certain spaces and challenge yourself to go to spaces where you actually can evolve. Because once you start evolving, once you start that aspect of ascension into yourself, you start ascending your energy, you start ascending into those spaces, that's when you're going to get everything that you require to create everything that you desire. And now we are in the question and answer period. It does not have to be a question about the topic. It can be a question of anything that's on your mind because every question is an answer. Every question is the answer. Every question that you ask is the answer from the quantum space of yourself, that quantum part of your mind. And every answer that you receive connects you to that higher aspect of yourself. This takes you out of the aspect of being afraid of the rejection. That's where Melvin's had that thought process, like there's no such thing as stupid questions. Because there isn't. If your question is if your question is to understand the higher aspect of yourself, there's no such, it can't be stupid. Oh yeah. I'm doing full moon readings, the full moon aspect readings, the what you need, the where you need to go and all those aspects. Let me look that up. I wrote it all down. Let me go look at it right now. You have a question? Drop it in the comments. I was just out here sharing shit this week. Yeah. I'm doing the best way to become unbothered. I'm trying not to let go. I'm trying not to let things get to me. The best question for that, I'm asked another question. Give me something that you're trying to become unbothered about. And that would better give you I can better give you the answer or formulate your answer. not being satisfied where you are in life. The key aspect of where you are in life, the best way to become unbothered in that aspect. That's a huge joint. You're not doing what you're doing based on the timeline of what I would sustain as humanity. You're not doing anything for that basic aspect. The best way, now I'm gonna read that. I got to pull up. The best way to do that is concentrate on the cultivating of your purpose, not your goal. That will help you be able to mirror and be able to be open, because other people's opinions and thoughts, they have answers within them. But because you're in a space of that internal space, I'm not where I need to be, or whatever it may, what all the things that you need to work on. When people are giving you that opinion or that thought process, like I had people tell me like every other fucking week, they were like, yo, why don't you become the fool this? And I was like, that's simply not, the simple answer for it is that's simply not me. When you ask yourself, when you get to yourself and you're doing your meditation, the best thing for you to do is like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, when you sitting there and you ain't getting no sleep, ain't getting no rest, and you sit there, the meditation for yourself, sit back there and meditate and ask yourself, where am I at? Where am I going? What does this mean? Ask yourself the questions ask yourself the questions ask yourself the questions and formulate that answer to yourself of where you want to be in cultivating your purpose and what your goal is. And then it automatically gives deflection to other people's opinions in the aspect that you're open to listen to it, but it's not bothering you. And work on saying you're right. Automatic ego killer. If someone was to tell me right now, like, nigga, why are you doing lectures and why are you reading cards? I would like, nigga, this is me. Because the only thing someone's going to be able to tell me afterwards is like, nigga, that went you 6 years ago. Because what you're going to start realizing is when you start really, when you're looking at the aspect of people telling you things, they're going to be like, it's always going to be timestamped. Everything that they're going to say is going to be timestamped. You're moving outside of the realm of the constriction of time. That is your shit. You're moving out of the constriction of time. So it doesn't matter. Time does not matter when you are cultivating your purpose and working on your talent and your gift. When you're working on yourself, time doesn't matter. So when you see people outside of you and their opinions like you should be here or you should have did this or you should do this, the best thing for you to ask them, because the question you've already asked yourself is, what do I need to do to get to where I need to get to? Now you ask that same person that question. Like in my earlier podcast episodes, when people were listening to it, I had people say like, yo, you should do this and you should do this and you should do this on your podcast. And I'll be like, I appreciate that feedback. That would work, but that's not the direction that I'm going. But the only reason I was able to say that is because it was my subconscious was already reinforced with my thought process of I have my set goal in mind that I'm cultivating to get to where I want to get to. So that made it, the more that I was moving in my truth of myself, and that's that process when you're going to your shadow work, the more I was going into the process of working on myself and doing the things that I needed to do for myself, the less and less the noise, I was able to drown out that noise because I was not giving them anything to feed upon. They couldn't feed on my doubts. They couldn't look me in my eyes and timestamp me based on whatever trauma, whatever the hell, whatever they were there for, original program. They couldn't use that to me anymore because I didn't exist there anymore. I created a whole entirely different being of light for myself. So like, I remember, I'll give, here's another aspect of an example. I remember when I started doing God thoughts, and I remember I started putting up God thoughts, and my God thoughts were becoming more. I was pushing that button of religion. I was pushing that religion button, like, nigga, fuck religion, nigga. I don't like that shit. I was pushing that button. So I remember I would get people that were posting under my shit that were like, they would tell me a scripture, they would say some stuff to me, and I'd look at it and I'd be like, nigga, I got the power to block you. And all I would do, go under, delete, block, comment, and it'd go away. But the first thing that I did was I took their comment, whether it was a scripture or whatever it may have been, like if it was a scripture or a line, there's something that made sense in their reality for their opinion. I took it and I took it into myself, and I looked for my own reasoning to that for myself. I use that as a reflective point because remember, everything is a reflection of you. So when you look at other people's opinions, for that example, people are automatically always going to put their perceptions on you. The only thing that you can do based on other people's perceptions and perspectives is change how you react to it. So the best way to react to it is to become proactive and ask yourself that question. Why am I I'm not cultivating the satisfaction of where I feel I should be. I'm cultivating the purpose and my growth into where I'm going to become. This will help you into this helps you into that aspect. Like, you know what? I appreciate your input. I appreciate it. Even if you don't, even if it grinds your gears, tell them that you appreciate their input. And they're going to sit, because they're looking for an argument. They're looking for a reason they're looking for more reasons to connect to you, to stay attached. That's why people 9 times out of 10 always have an opinion, because they're looking for an attachment. It's only when it challenges you, because it's always going to challenge you, but you're looking at the challenge as internal work, not external. Like my whole aspect to other people, the reason I'm so unbothered is because I've put in the amount of work behind my shit, behind my purpose, behind my growth to be able to do what I do. So on one side, you're going to be using that. On one side, use it to ask yourself the questions of what do I need to be doing? And on the other end, tell them that they're right. That's you balancing out. That's you bringing balance to that space. No problem, no problem, no problem. That's what we're here for. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. Before I forget, the Blue Moon Tarot Spread special that I'm doing is 25-25. We're going to get into the aspects of where you are right now, the magic that's residing within you, the lessons you are going to be able to use, what you are ready to release, the goals you recently have accomplished, the energy you are finally ready to draw to you. The dream you are ready to make a reality, the advice of how to accomplish it, and the outcome. That's the Blue Moon Tarot spread. The special is 25-25. You can set that up. You can set that appointment up. 77910-777-08 is the number. GodicalAlchemistLLC.com for all the other services. If you follow me on Instagram, like Breezy, I know you follow me on Instagram. I think you follow me on Facebook. Yeah, you follow me on Instagram. DM me on IG at Papa_Lucy666. Set it up. You can inbox me, message me on Facebook at Rockall Hit that up. The only thing that's stopping you from getting to the next level is you. The things that you took into that abyss, and that's to break them down. Consultation special starts with the shadow reading is 65. That reading right here is 25-25. I'm running that through all the way to Monday. I'm running all the way to Monday, 25-25. Get that in your life. Your key, your goal is you're going to be removing veils and removing those covers that others need in their life. That's your job. But you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for yourself. The more you uncover, the more uncomfortable motherfuckers are gonna get. The more you uncover, the more uncomfortable people are going to get. You are becoming the villain. You are becoming the villain. You are becoming the anti-hero. On your hero's journey, you are becoming the villain. That's why the villain makes sense when you get older. Yeah, Breeze, I didn't forget about you. I'm still looking forward to our future endeavor with your consultation. But I just want you to be great. I always end that with that. I want you to be fucking great. Whether it is natal chart analysis, a reading, setting up that consultation to get you working on your shadow work and that guidance that your soul craves. GodicalAlchemistLLC.com. I have tapestries. Tapestries are new. Tapestries, sweatshirts, shirts. I'm about to drop some new shoes and shit. A bunch of new shit. Occult Alchemy, myshopify.com. Everything's in the description. If it resonates with you and it moved you, support the growth with Lucifer Somni. That's the Cash App link. Cash App links in this comments and it's in the description. I want you to be great. Share, subscribe, like, hit that bell. Let the knowledge do what it's supposed to do. This is your purging period. This is your purging period. This is you tapping into your higher aspects of yourself. This is your purging. Allow the things that are falling away to fall away. Stop looking back. There ain't nothing back there. The same stuff that's in front of you can be behind you only if you look. The things that are behind you will be in front of you based on your attention. So if you're still looking behind you, you still got your attention on what's behind you. Every intent that you set will be challenged by everything that you has your attention behind you. Your key is to grow. Your key is to evolve. The only ones that are afraid to evolve are the ones that are afraid to invest into that inherent change, the constant change. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm open for readings after we get off of this. What was I about to say? That was about it. Any other questions? Hit me up at 910-777. I'll put the number in the damn comments because I never put it in the description. I just never do it. 910-777-7708. It's a very lucky number. That's the number. Hit me up for the reading. Hit me up for the consultation. And be great, especially on this full moon. It's time for purging. It's the time for taking yourself to the next level. I appreciate and love the support. I love you. We love us. Ashe.